Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to the Animosity Amateur Smite League. I am Joywolf, joined by Lana, and we've got Soulslaw on production. How are we doing tonight, Lana?
Doing pretty decent, so I just want to warn everyone in advance that I have a nice happy cough. So if all of a sudden I'm talking and then I'm not, it's because I don't want to ruin everyone's mics in their ears. And yeah, so just fair warning. But the day is going good. Smite's been pretty decent. Very glad Vamon is getting a nerf. I really hope he gets banned because I played Raw a couple days ago and that had to be the most miserable experience of my Smite career. So
Speaking of bans and knowing that you are a Cuckoo one trick, how do you feel
okay.
about Kook being first banned by the Avengers?
I mean, I'm glad he's finally getting some of the recognition that he needs because I remember even like when there was the main Book of Thoth meta like a couple years ago, when there was like Tiamat in the meta and Merlin, he still didn't get any play. So the fact that he is finally getting play now, very good, very happy to see it. I mean, he probably does deserve his nerf, but I'm glad they're not doing the damage and just his survivability. I think that makes sense. And then, I mean, it's either you pick Kook or Thoth right now. Those really are just the top two mids, so it makes sense to get both of those off the board. So, same with the solo laners. It's literally these two or bust, honestly. So, I'm not surprised by these bans whatsoever.
Yeah, I mean, Balone just getting in there, running you down, disarm, block stacks, the bane of absolutely every single ADC to ever exist. And then Vamana just destroys the enemy backline, pops the big baby, gets in there, whack, 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 and your team's dead. It's a lot of fun to play against. Not surprised that Greed are going to be banning that one away. And speaking of not fun to play against, is Athena. What a god. I mean, just dash in, taunt the entire enemy team, get off all your damage, and yeah, Athena, a lot of fun.
Yeah, I feel like the interesting part about Athena, especially in these lower level games, is like there's so much disorder, there's so much chaos. Remember, everybody, this is the Jotunheim division. So this is one of our lower division teams on both sides. Not like any shade or anything, but usually in these cases, it's individuals who don't have a lot of comp experience or just don't have a lot of synergy with each other yet. Anything like that, usually it can happen all the time. And the one thing that's super annoying about Athena is the fact that she forces people to group up. You there's immediate like gratification in the fact that you instantly receive some kind of beads, some kind of ability damage going off the taunt. It's very obvious, it's very telegraphed, but it makes it very easy for these low level comp games. So not surprised at all that she's getting banned. Ganesh is interesting. I think he's risen up, but I'm surprised that they chose him out of all the characters. I don't know about that.
You know, honestly, I've been really loving the Ganesh. I feel like he was one of the main, if you're not picking Athena, you're picking Ganesh. So, and ooh, this is kind of spicy. We'll circle back to the Ganesh, but Bacchus first picked overall. I don't know if I'm first picking Bacchus, but man, I love playing that god. You just belly flop in, burp, disrupt the enemy team, throw down your jug. It's a big fun time. I love to watch some good Bacchus gameplay.
Yeah, I'm definitely yeah, if I'm picking a guardian right now, that's like one of the lower ones on the list. Yeah, so now you in turn get Hachi Sobek, which is arguably one of the most scary duo lanes right now. Very meta. Sobek just has so much survivability, and that pluck is just absolutely dangerous right now. I mean, unfortunately, like the classic follow-ups you're seeing, like Kook and Thoth, are off the board, so it makes it a little more interesting to see where he's gonna line up in terms of like mid synergy off the pluck. But I mean, I'm definitely not gonna complain. Shiba Wonke, I don't know what it is. I have seen him so much lately. Is he meta? He's got to be meta, right? Like
Oh, absolutely. I mean, playing mostly duo lane, I'm constantly either running it down with an X-Ball as my ADC or getting run down by the Shibalonke. Just does a lot. Branching bowl is always good, and it's never bad to just turn off the lights on the enemy team. So, you know, I just really impactful, really good at getting pressure early. I really like the X-Ball. If they can manage their mana, they're in for a great time.
yeah, 100%. I mean, that's the only problem with him, is that I feel like him and Hachimon's passes, I don't know if anyone's ever thought about this, but they should be swapped in a way, because I feel like Hachi doesn't use that much mana in comparison, and she totally does. So I feel like that would be a really interesting kind of like passive swap there. I'm just theory crafting here. Hyra's totally, you're more than welcome to hire me. It's totally fine with me. But now we have Morgan Le Fay and Thor, and yeah, I mean, Morgan Le Fay is good. She has some safety. I am a little interested to see how she's gonna play into the Sobek, because she doesn't have any classic movement outside of her third ability that just really provides her the movement speed. And yes, she is fast, but I feel like she's gonna need to play very, very safe here. So I think that's gonna be very interesting. And Thor, I mean, definitely one of the sleeper kind of characters. If you can hit all your combos on Thor, if you can get in there and do your damage and be able to get out, this is gonna be a dangerous pick for Andvari's Greed here.
I totally agree. We have seen Thor go absolutely nuclear, winning games, winning team fights, just setting up engagements, huge Anvil of Dawns. And we've also seen the dark side of the moon with Thor and whiffed ults, missed hammers. It really can be a feast or famine god, especially in these lower divisions. So I like the Thor, but it always comes with that caveat of you have to be hitting your abilities or you are just absolutely a detriment to your team.
100%. I mean, definitely be interesting to say the least. And now we have these bans, and I mean, I don't know. This is definitely interesting. This is spicy, okay? I know it's spicy, but I would like to see something. Okay, Surtur. That's not what I was expecting, by the way, like at all. We'll circle back to that, but I'd love to see something almost like maybe like a Susanoo coming out, like someone who can actually like really chase down this Hachimon would be really nice. I feel like the main problem with Hachimon right now is he's just kind of like able to get away with whatever he wants, and he's got the immunity and all. He's able to provide so much utility with that banner, and it provides like a stupid amount of damage in a way. It's very odd. That was an interesting buff they could have given him. So I don't know. Someone that can actually chase him down would be very nice. I don't know if Susanoo is necessarily the best pick, but I mean, Shock's not bad, I guess. I don't know. I feel like.
Yeah, I was going to say, Chalk definitely is able to represent some chase down, throw out his big ol' axe, bring down the range, slow everyone down, teleport to your axe. Offers some opportunity to chase down, and also Gilgamesh, if Hachiman can't hop on the horse, recently used the ult, getting caught in the winds of Shamash, always deadly for your health. I wonder what Greed are going to lock in for this last pick here. It looks like they will need a mid here. Do you have any insight on what might work well with this composition they're cooking up?
Honestly, someone with some good follow-up, honestly, in terms of Thor, in terms of Sobek. I feel like that's the scariest thing right now, is Sobek pluck into like a disgusting ability. I'm not in love with the idea of someone like Raw here. Like that's another person I'm immediately thinking of. Scylla wouldn't be too bad, but it does leave a lot of room for error. You have to definitely be on the communication and say like, hey, I'm gonna pluck this person, be ready pretty much for your ult, because the casting time with it makes it so tough. Honestly, Yon, he's kind of slippery. I feel like if you want someone who's really going to get in here with the rest of this team, because that is what that team goes for, that would be pretty decent. Raiden isn't who I was expecting. That's... Oh.
You know, as we do see the Raijin locked in here, I kind of understand where they're coming from a little bit. As we said earlier, those Scyllas and the Giannis's, you need to communicate well, you need to have your timings down. And Raijin's one of those gods with an easier time operating, a bit more plug and play, I would say, than just a Scylla or a Giannis, Definitely easier to hit the taiko drums than the Giannis snipe. So I can understand them wanting to lock in the Raijin here. Gives them a little bit more ease of play, which is always something I look for in a team comp in one of these lower divisions.
For sure, and it doesn't mean that like Raijin's like a bad pick here. It's just unexpected. And I mean, to be fair, I mean, this is the comp of CC. So if he's just allowed to free cast Like, this could be very dangerous, especially on someone like Morgan Le Fay. Like, how is she really supposed to get away from him? Like, she can use her first ability to be able to persuade some of his damage, but he can just dash in on her and use the Taiko drums, and there's pretty much nothing she can do. She can ult, I guess, but I feel like just in that matchup, it's such a rough one for her. So I'm gonna be interested to see how they end up playing with that. But in turn, I mean, there is so much interrupt for this Raijin dash that if he gets caught out, he might be in a lot of trouble, because Sobek, great for initiation, but like honestly, if I'm thinking of a peel character, that's usually not who I go to. So I don't know. This is definitely gonna be an interesting game, but let's see.
Yeah, and with that, we will be heading into game number 1 of this best of 3 set between the KC Avengers and Andvari's Greed. Lana, looking at these two team comps, do you have a favorite, or is there one that sticks out as better at a specific point in the game to you? What are your takes on these two teams, looking at the all 10 players?
Well, it's really interesting because like I feel like it's such like lane dependent. I feel like realistically, this dual lane is probably the thing that I love to pay attention to the most, because I feel like this could so go either way. If Boghez ends up ever catching a Hachiman dash in the early game, if he does provide anti-heal, so that's annoying for Sobek. But at the same time, he can also get plucked out, and there's like absolutely nothing he can do, especially if his jump down is down. I think the reason Bacchus is such a tough pick, especially being like first pick, is that the fact that you are forced, your main CC ability is your initiation. It's also your get out of jail free card. So if he gets plucked or he jumps in and then he gets gone on, I don't really know like what the response is going to be there. I feel like Xiblanque should be able to provide enough damage to be able to get him out, but I feel like that's definitely something that I would love to see the Thor come in and rotate on and maybe mitigate some of that as well. I don't know. I think it's so tough. And also, I feel like between like Shock and Surtur, this is like also just a different and weird matchup as well, because I feel like realistically this really just comes down to who's hitting their abilities more, which I mean, let's be real, that's always how solo lane is. Like it sounds really stupid of me to say that, but like realistically, I mean, I think Surtur has a lot more potential in just fighting throughout the wave, and Shock can just kind of clear the wave. So we'll have to see who plays it kind of correctly in this way, but it looks like there is going to be at least quite a bit of pressure so far into Andvari's Greed. Ooh. Casual's taking quite a bit of damage. Oh, he missed the pluck. Ah.
Yeah, I'm really curious to see how this... sorry, go on.
I think one thing that's interesting to note, so I personally don't know very many players at all on the side of KC Avengers, but I think it's very important to note that Raijin is... he's dead. There's no way. Oh, wow. Okay. Whew, that's tough. I think one thing that's super tough is the fact that the casual one was typically actually a solo laner before, is just transitioning now into that support role along with Cookie named Joe. So I feel like the god pool is definitely going to be a little more limited in this case, not like to shout out the player or anything, but in that case it is a lot of like having to learn how to play these characters correct, and it does not... That's a great pluck though.
And we're seeing a lot of activity from It's Oh So Divine, and he's really making an impact hitting these drop kicks and whatnot, setting up Tell Short for the first blood. I'm curious if we're going to see this Gilgamesh have this early impact. And, we were talking about the Thor earlier on the desk, and obviously, knowing the global pressure that he brings and whatnot. But Divine is going to have to really step it up if he wants to be able to have as much impact as Thor without the global rotation. So I'm really excited to see what he's going to be able to do, and if he's going to be able to match some of that pressure that Thor can definitely bring.
I mean, yeah, he's at to a great start. I mean, getting that first blood onto his Morgan Le Fay, like she pretty much got a free laning phase at least for the next couple minutes until Thor gets his ultimate, which isn't going to be for quite a while. So now she just has the opportunity to bully out this Raijin. One thing I need to point out, by the way, can we talk about the actual shard pickup on this Morgan Le Fay? What is this? Why do we have golden shard Morgan Le Fay?
That is a
Oh,
very good question.
that is the strat. I'm convinced.
You know, I'm at a loss here. As we see, Mitter Troll is very low. They're playing extremely risky over in the duo lane, but they feel safe behind Mr. Jungle over there, so they'll be okay as long as they get the back off. But yeah, that golden shard is definitely an interesting pick for Morgan Le Fay. I'm no mid laner, but do you think this is some secret tech or?
I haven't seen it personally, but I mean, I'm not against it by any means. I mean, great play out of here though with Andvari's great to be able to actually like punish this dual lane over here. I have no idea why Middertroll didn't back during this entire occasion. I feel like he just sat under that tower for like a whole minute, so that's gonna put them really far behind, and I feel like that's very concerning, especially against someone like a Hachimon who can just chase you down, especially Shibalanke, who his dash is it's like decently long, but it's certainly easy to get chased down, especially by a Hachimon. So I don't know. Very interesting plays coming out of the duo lane here. But looks like they are gonna recover at least and be able to get level 5, so that's something.
To say they will hit level 5, but again, Mitter Troll still not backing. I can understand wanting to make sure you have enough for that first big power spike, but you're really mitigating your usefulness. I mean, he can't step out of tower because he's just going to die. If he gets plucked, if he gets tail whipped, anything really could. As we hold that thought, we see a bit of a scuffle over in mid, but
Peel.
yeah, good peel. Not much gonna come out of it.
No, and I mean, yeah, this gotta be Zapman Smurf. Like, this man needed to back like ages ago, and he's still going. And you know what? I respect it, honestly. Please, oh, almost died to a minion. That scared me. Oh, that was gonna be like Basil the Baptist who died to his red buff, and that's exactly what I'm talking about. Thankfully, it did not hit, but if it did, this lane goes completely different at this point. We already see that Cookie Named Joe almost has a whole level up, despite the fact that, you know, there's only been one invade. It's definitely like a huge swing right now. Like, we have almost 100 gold in XP per minute lead in terms of the dual lane at this point, which is like really concerning, honestly, because someone like Shibalanke, someone like Bacchus, they can escape, but their escape is pretty limited, and they're very easily able to get chased down. But oh wait, aw, wah, wah.
And yeah, a little bit more poke on this Raijin, and now we see some aggression coming out from Mitter Troll, and Shibalanke popped as well as Cookie Named Joe will be forced underneath his tower. Nothing real gonna come out of it, no kills or anything, but Joe is now about half HP, and Pluck will be missed in mid lane as we transition over there. We're seeing a lot of scuffling and invading, but not a lot of killing. Do you think that's going to keep up, or do you think this is going to become a bloodbath real quick here?
Honestly, I think it's just gonna be small scuffles. I feel like realistically, especially like right now, in terms of like where people want to go, I feel like the only thing I could really see right now coming out of Andvari's greed really is a Thor rotation into either side. I would really love to see more pressure over onto the Shibalanke. Just keep him down, honestly, at this point. I feel like whatever ADC gets to 20 right now is definitely in like such a good spot. Same goes for solo lane, and that might be really bad for King Reese here. Almost about to die. Woo!
Could.
Woo!
Woo. That was scary, as Bobago taking a few tower shots there, but luckily King Reese will be able to get that back off under his own tier 1 tower. As we're back to the dual lane and the ADCs. Hey, you know, it is what it is. Mitter Troll, though, is out of mana, so won't be able to use those branching bolas. And as we see now, Cookie Named Joe about a level up. So he's really using that pressure to get some advantage. But Gilgamesh is on his way. Blinks in, and Joe is falling low. Jump in, hops on the horse. Will he be able to escape? Yes, he will. Bacchus is under the tower, though. Will he be able to run away? Raiding her jungle, running it down, and with the winds of Shamash, raiding her jungle will be able to pick up that kill. Casual One coming in to try and pick it up. Oh, and the Thor dunk, and Dawn is in. Bacchus flopping down.
What? The up down?
He ups, downs, and the burp is gonna come out. Horrific too, but Casual One will pick up the return kill. I don't know, man. I feel like the KC Avengers came out ahead on that one, trading away the ADC, or pardon me, trading away their support for an ADC kill. You always gotta feel good if you're coming away with the ADC.
Oh, 100%. I mean, that's exactly what you're looking for in this case. I mean, and that kind of just mitigated this entire duo lane. That entire lead completely gone. I am a little confused why Joe didn't just ult like a lot faster. I don't know if he wasn't expecting the rotation also coming out of the Bacchus to be able to come and chase. Oh, wait.
Ooh.
Wait.
Green Dragon
No!
is low here, but he'll be able to dodge out
No.
all the abilities,
Oh.
except for that one, and Telshort will be able to pick up that kill for nothing. And Cookie Named Joe now back with a
Ooh.
little bit of vengeance on the brain, but Middertroll able to dash safely to his tower. And as we said, this is our lowest division, so extremely scrappy games are to be expected, as King Reese now potentially going to be attacked under his own tower, but he will get the back off in time, so everything is good and square in the solo lane. And
I
right
mean,
now,
look at this. Oh, look at that jungle. Oh, no way. We have Gilgamesh fighting at speed buff. Okay. He didn't steal that, did he? No, he didn't. Okay. He's dead for it, too. Unlucky. Unlucky. What? Wait, oh.
okay,
That
I
was
was a
way
little-
closer than it should have been. I was concerned, honestly. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I personally... Wait. No. Aw.
King Reese
Unlucky.
deciding not to go in onto Bobago there, throwing out. Oh, but Bobago goes back in. He's not worried though. He makes it out back to safety. No
It's a shock.
concern. Yeah, just
It's a
chalk
shock.
things. What can I say?
Yeah, that's the thing about Shock is like he has trouble transitioning over into this late game, rightfully so. I mean, it will be very nice in terms on to a cookie named Joe. Not being able to provide a lot of that attack speed with the autos is going to be absolutely detrimental in terms of that. But I mean, outside of that, he just has really big trouble outside of using just his ult for mitigations. It is going to be interesting. It looks like he is going into that more defensive route. So there is two ways you can kind of build Shock and can be with that like damage. I've seen a lot of Transcendence use. Wait, oh,
Well, that thought as the block is good. Will mid or troll fall here? Yes, he will. Solo or not a solo. Cookie Named Joe will be able to pick up that kill onto mid or troll as Telshore picks up another kill in the mid lane.
Green Dragon's struggling here, honestly. Oh, and the Thor. Oh.
Unfortunately,
no,
Glenn
and
unable to get
gone.
up into the air in time to get the return kill. And
I don't think that was worth it anyway. Even if you go in there, right? Say you like are able to do some damage onto that Morgan Le Fay. She's under her tower. She has beads. Like I don't know. I feel like that would have been way closer than you'd actually want it to be. So in a way, I feel like it's kind of a blessing that Thor just went back down and was not able to be able to do that. But we have a problem, everybody. There is a 3-level lead in the mid lane, and Morgan Le Fay is officially fed. So I don't know how you deal with that.
As we see now, it ticks up to 4 levels. That's really unfortunate for Green Dragon. It's gonna be really rough for them as Sobek now getting bullied out, man. Just Morgan Le Fay does so much damage already. And it's not like Andvari's greed is so far behind, as we see now Surtur just getting collapsed on. Reinforcements are here for the Andvari's greed, but ults are being popped and King Greed will fall, and as will the Casual One, and that's going to be 2 kills picked up for the KC Avengers in a nice clean fashion. And as we see the pinks coming out, I have to imagine this is going to be a goal for your call.
Absolutely. And I mean, who's going to stop them? Like, nobody at this point. I mean, Thor could try and go in for a lucky ult, but at this point, I mean, they're only 2k down behind. I feel like it's worth just getting some kind of farm in I mean, just allowing to take what you can at this point. Maybe pushing out that soul lane would be ideal. I don't know, because honestly, there's nothing that you can do at this point. It is already taken. That gets shredded very quick, by the way. Wow, that is impressive, honestly. And now it's 12 minutes. We have almost a 3k gold lead, 3k XP lead. This is not fantastic, but I mean, to be fair, if someone shuts down this Formula Fae, that is a hefty bounty. They are 8,000 gold at the moment that they have been able to collect. And I mean, it is realistically like a 2,000 gold lead alone just throughout that mid lane. So I feel like at this point we dump some resources into this Morgan Le Fay and just kind of go for it.
Yeah, and I mean, if Green Dragon is the one to pick up that kill, it'll definitely help their chances a whole lot. As we see the banner doing so much damage to mid or troll, Cookie Named Joe absolutely swinging it at this point. As we see now, Sniper Glenn able to get off and away with that invade, and now Divine could have been caught out there in a bit of a short-handed situation, but they're doing all right now. And yeah, we're seeing it, man. 4 levels in mid, so rough. As now Raijin kicked under his own tower. Just it's brutal, man.
Oh no.
He just wants to play the game, and Green Dragon just getting kicked around by Gilgamesh. Not a good feeling.
And I feel like the worst thing is, if we take a look at the build here, it looks like Gilgamesh is going into some kind of magical defense too. So if Raiden didn't already feel irrelevant enough with his damage levels right now, just because he's behind, it's gonna get worse. You know, it looks like Shoguns might be on the play, maybe. I don't know, honestly. But I mean, definitely not going to be ideal. And this is exactly what I meant by Raiden getting caught out with his damage. Rotation coming in from Cookie Named Joe, though.
And Telshore now being dunked in on. Cookie Named Joe will be able to pick up that kill. And right now, as it stands, a 1 for none. Surtur now ulting in, but thinks better of it as Andvari's greed now retreat to the Pyromancer. And Lobego throwing in the axe. We'll see if he'll teleport in. But yeah, and there it is.
Ooh.
Flop in and followed by the shock ultimate will cause the casual one to fall. It's oh so divine. As he now runs down a Cookie Named Joe, he will fall victim to the burp. And stunned out. Shock is coming in. Big as raiding her jungle will indeed be able to pick that up now. Ooh. And poor Green Dragon falling again. It's looking rough for Andvari's greed. Now, I've heard from one of their players that usually their game 1 isn't the strongest. They have a tendency to feed in game 1 and then come back in game 2 and 3 and play stronger. So maybe it's the team strategy, you know? They're in it for the long haul. They lose game 1, win 2 and 3. They did win their first set 2-1, losing the first game. So who knows? Maybe it's their MO.
It's very interesting too, because like if we're looking at these two teams' history, I mean, Andvari's greed, yes, did go that 2-1, and apparently had those really 2 second back half stronger games. It was just that game 1 that was really shaky. Seems like it is being a little shaky right now as well, but I mean, we see signs of life. We see that we did want to actually end up killing that Morgan Le Fay. I think it was a bit of an overkill going for that Pyromancer, but again, I see signs of life there. I see what they're trying to execute, and I feel like once they get late game, it shouldn't be too bad, so we'll just have to see if they can actually get there. But like, interestingly enough, is the KC Avengers, something to note for everybody, that they actually were on the wait list for this division and were able to just come, like, this is their first week actually together. So interesting part, not a draft league of course, so bring your own team. So it looks like, I mean, they've definitely been playing together for a while. You can see this energy here, so definitely something we got to keep our eyes on. Also keeping an eye on is that Cookie Named Joe no longer has any mountain archery, has no relics right now. I do not want you to step up here. I am nope. Oh,
it's oh so divine. Plucking the Gilgamesh towards Joe. He will be able to make it out, but it looks like Casual One might fall here as he is being buffeted by CC after CC, and Telshort will be able to add another one to his
Oh
name.
no!
Raijin's leap being caught, but he will be able to get that off and get away. Only the casual one falling here, and KC Avengers going right back to this Gold Fury. I like this. They're getting picks. They're doing a good job of getting the objectives, as Sniper Glenn will
so
ult
close.
in, but force the hammer out, will not be able to secure the Gold Fury for his squad. And just like that, KC Avengers now about 5,000 gold up, over 6,500 experience. They're having it all right now.
And I feel like the main problem right now is, and we see this a lot in these lower divisions, is one team gets behind, and the main idea is, I need to farm. I'm now behind. I need to stay in my lane. I need to. Wow!
Speaking of Joe, absolutely chunking with these autos.
Archery.
Unfortunately for him, mid or troll will be able to escape. But as we said earlier, both of their ultimates were down. Mid or trolls just ticking back over into the green now. So, Speaking of Joe, having that ultimate forced out earlier is going to have an impact here, as he will not be able to finish off mid or troll, as he now is running around behind his tier 1 tower.
And I mean, again, signs of life here. We see that in the 1v1s, it's not going too bad. I mean, both side lanes seem to be, slowly coming back or being dominant, really, either way.
There's the mounted
archery.
archery.
Does come out, but so does the dash coming out of Shibalonka. I don't think he gets this. Oh.
Not even with the enhanced autos, but we do see Glenn up in the air, and mid or troll seem to have been backing. He teleported too quickly. He didn't let the hammer hit back for the double tap, and now Chalk Bobego teleporting in. Cookie Name Joe will be able to dodge the axe, but man, just an unfortunate timing from Sniper Glenn.
And now it's now we see in trouble because Cookie Name Joe has no relics.
Cookie Name Joe has
no
nowhere
life,
to go.
Completely dead, no mounted archery. And that's, again, another thing that we see in these divisions. I've been noticing two things that I've already noticed this game. You get behind and you think, I need to stay in my lane and I need to farm, and we've been seeing a lot of that, while the other team just kind of death balls. We just saw it again right there. And now we also want to overcommit for certain kills when we feel like we want to be ahead in certain ways. I feel like, honestly, just letting them go at this point, staying back, probably just would have been the better play in this case. Allowing that Shibalonki to back. You got the win. You were able to allow him to be pressured all the way up until his T2 tower. You could have put like a minion wave in, something like that. But honestly, at that point, I mean, go, put your pressure somewhere else. Makes more sense to me at that point. But we'll have to see. Unfortunately, Sobek once again getting dropped out, and now they're in extra trouble because they're going to be down one more ultimate for this Pyromancer.
As we see KC Avengers both down ultimates coming back up, and they will be able to pick up the Pyromancer. Sniper Glenn is going to fall, and Casual One dashes away. I believe some relic was used to attempt to catch up, but unfortunately will not be the case. And now King Reese being flanked from behind by Chalk, and KC Avengers now able to force out the Surtur ultimate. And honestly, I kind of like this call. They're headed towards the Fire Giant. They've forced out ultimates, they've forced out relics, and now they're looking for the biggest objective on the map. They're slowly starting to burn this down, but I'm not sure.
For 21 minutes, though.
It is only 21 minutes. It feels like this game has been going on forever, but man, only 21 minutes as the Fire Giant burns low now. The zone seems to be good for the KC Avengers, and they will be able to pick up this Fire Giant.
Aww.
King Reese now being slowed, and he will be caught out, raiding her jungle, going to be able to pick up that kill with the belly flop.
And this is another problem, just comes with terms of the comps here. Now, when I'm thinking of some of the best solo laners to be behind as, I certainly, absolutely do not think Surtur. I think he's got to be one of the worst characters to be behind as, because ideally on Surtur, you're using your ultimate to get in there. Well, what has King Reese had to do this entire game? You got to use End of Days to get out, and now if you have to re-engage, we saw exactly what happened. I mean, you're just kind of like a walking minion at that point. Like, if you are behind at this point, they had Fire Giant. He literally just got Horrific Emblem and got ran down. Because what is he supposed to do at this point? He's not going to be able to do enough damage to actually kill anybody, and he's not going to be tanky enough to be able to survive at this point. It makes it very, very difficult. So I'm curious to see how he's going to play these next fights. But honestly, I think at this point, it just makes more sense for Andvari's Greed to just go and defend and take any kind of farm that they typically can. I love to see the ADC, this Hachimon over on this right side, at least try and get some kind of farm going, knowing they're all at Oni Fury. Plays like this, that is what's going to keep them alive in this game. So hopefully, you know, he doesn't get caught out and is able to just, is able to back, and hopefully he can do some defenses. Definitely not these towers. I feel like at this point that's not even worth it. We have almost a 10k gold lead at 23 minutes. We ain't touching those anymore. I think honestly you just wait around these phoenixes. Teleport is coming in though.
We do see King Reese get absolutely shredded, as you said earlier, just not tanky enough, and he takes almost half of his entire HP bar just getting in from that teleport. That's gotta be brutal. Really gonna limit their ability to defend that Phoenix, but luckily it looks like the KC Avengers are going to be headed to the mid tower. But it's
buddy.
oh so divine is going to hit the dropkick onto Green Dragon, beats Forced Out, and Winds of Shamash, almost guaranteeing that'll be a kill. Green Dragon, though, is able to hop, jump, and skip his way out of there, so he will live another day. But will we see Casual One live another day, or will we see this Phoenix fall? As right now, Casual One going in real deep, but he is able to get out, and we see the huge dunk in Sniper Glen. Lots of damage coming out, and we see Surtur now ulting in, no, back out, and Horrific was popped. So will we see Green Dragon fall? He will get absolutely popped by Telshore now, and it looks like this Phoenix is on the chopping block, and I can't imagine that anyone's going to be able to stop this. And now even the right Phoenix as well is going to be taken out. Mid or troll super low though.
That's what we want to see, and it looks like Telshore is gonna get ran at by King Reese. I don't know if he's able to actually do anything. Yeah, it looks like he is gonna be able to get out being fast as that Morgan Le Fay. I mean, 7-1 and 3, 24,000 damage. I mean, this is an unkillable Morgan Le Fay at this point. Does have beads though. If that ends up happening anytime in the next 90 seconds. Unfortunately, King Reese does miss that stun, and now that's not looking good. That's not looking good.
Yeah.
Wait, alternate timeline's OP!
Is proc, but Sniper Glen diving in down will be able to take out Telshore. A few health bars are low on Andvari's Greed. King Reese and Cookie Named Joe are able to make an escape for now, but King Reese just left behind, and he will fall to Bobago, as now the remaining members of the Greed are going to head back to their base and try and lick their wounds for now, as KC Avengers now picking up the Pyromancer.
Yeah, I feel like KC Avengers, I feel like even though King Reese died, even though they overextended, I mean, doing anything to shut down this Morgan Le Fay at this point is fantastic. Remember, the alternate timeline,
okay, thank you.
As fantastic as alternate timeline is, I mean, that is a long cooldown. So now Morgan Le Fay has, when they come up, will have those beads. Will not have Aegis for a little bit longer, so I imagine they're going to want to play a little more safe. But now, doesn't have survivability, might have to play back a little bit more. I imagine now that I've seen Telshore's gameplay, I kind of doubt it, but you know, I can dream. And I don't know, that works, honestly. I feel like King Reese has to take that trade any day of the week. You are obviously going to take down that 7-1-3 Morgan Le Fay. I mean, another death to his column, you're a Surtur, you're late game. I mean, it is what it is at this point.
Yeah, and as we see now, the Fire Giant is up. And I'm curious to see if Andvari's Greed are looking to mount a defense. It seems like they are, despite being 10,000 down and having a mid-Phoenix that was taken down in the previous Fire Giant sieges. So, I don't entirely love this call. It's not EFG, so I would probably just give it up. But, I don't know. Andvari's Greed look to be looking to defend.
For sure. And I mean, yeah, I think you're right. Like, dude, this is risky at best. If anyone happens to get caught out, they might even be able to win the game. And it looks like the ward coverage as well is just in favor of KC Avengers solely due to the fact that they have so much map pressure. Like, who's able to steal this fire giant realistically? The only one I can imagine that can even get close is this Thor. And even at that point, he's gonna die. There's no reason he's not gonna be able to die. So some kind of miracle is gonna have to come out of Andvari's greed here. We'll have to see if they can do it. There's already gonna be a stun on King Reese.
Yeah, as we see now, it looks like KC Avengers have sprung the trap. Luckily for Cookie Named Joe, he will be able to get out with his ultimate hop on the horse. Casual One, though, is looking to follow up. Wall will be a little bit off the mark, and it's oh so divine will pick up their third in a row for the killing spree. And that is a big old death timer for Joe. And KC Avengers now just kind of lackadaisically chilling around the base of Andvari's Greed. They're just zoning from a distance, you know. The rest of the team's got the fire giant. They've established quite the zone, I would say. But
yeah, and
it is worth noting, Sniper Glenn able to make it through the cracks. And now, as we see, Fire Giant, will Glenn be able to steal this? No, they will not. Unfortunately, they were knocked up by the Fire Giant, didn't have the ability to steal that, and they are going to ult away towards the mid lane. So KC Avengers will pick up the Fire Giant, but not able to get out any extra picks, as the mid Phoenix now does fall to the minions. Unfortunate for Andvari's Greed. What would you like to see from the Greed here to try and get back into this game?
Well, I mean, at this point, I mean, there's no like relic differences now. This Morgan Faye, the only thing that she really has down is this alternate timeline for over a minute still. So that is something to keep in mind if you can't actually be able to give them any kind of lockdown. But I just don't know how they're going to be able to do it. I mean, Sobek is so untanky at this point. Any kind of damage, he misses his pluck once, it is absolute game over. He will die. So I feel like their engagement's just gonna have to be pretty rough. I feel like honestly it's not ideal, but I feel like having some kind of Thor ultimate just to get the fight started and just leaving. I mean at this point, because your frontliners at this point cannot do anything. It's literally not possible. We have King Reese here on the starter being a whole item down to Bobego on the shock. Like you're so untanky at this point that you cannot afford to take any kind of damage. So I think it makes it just absolutely really devastating and extremely tough. So any kind of long range CC to be able to start off the fight and just doing anything you can to defend these Phoenixes, that's really what's going to matter.
Yeah, as we see now, KC Avengers wave will be coming shortly, and there we have the chalk ult in. King Reese already falling low, as is the Casual One. Their front line is crumpling. Sniper Glenn will fall. Chalk ult or Surtur ult down into the Winds of Samash. King Reese will fall. Belly flop in. KC Avengers seem to be going in for the kill, as the Chosen One's getting absolutely shredded. Telsor with the triple kill, and that will be the Titan. That will be the game for the KC Avengers, as they pick up game number 1 in this best of 3 set.
I mean, clean, really. I mean, you know, it kind of tough. I mean, there was a couple times like Morgan Le Fay, there was a couple deaths. It really was kind of the cockiness that really caused the death more than anything. I mean, we saw the up down at a Bacchus, but like also, I do have to point out something I wanted to this whole game but hadn't. There was horrific emblem Shibalanke. Confusing, but I mean apparently it works, so like I can't judge. But yeah, it's just so tough. I mean, that comp is just so good at snowballing. I mean, realistically, if we're looking at the other side, if we're looking at Andvari's Greed, who is going to be able to do absolutely anything in terms of like getting in there and doing damage when someone like Sobek, when someone like Surtur is just so untanky, there's really not much you can do. So you kind of just have to play back a lot. And it's not fantastic in that way because it kind of just allows someone like Bacchus, someone like Shock, someone like Gilgamesh to be able to just free cast on you at least for the first 10 seconds. We saw it again in that last Phoenix fight. I mean, yeah, very tough. I would love to see some kind of switch out in terms of either the solo lane or the mid laner in terms of just different picks. Something that can free cast from a distance, or someone that has better potential going behind, if that is the case that they want to play with. I really don't want to see a Morgan Le Fay ban, but if you have to, I guess you have to as well. I don't know. It is really tough, kind of
I mean,
mentally shattering.
I was gonna say I'm always a fan of taking someone off of what they just absolutely laid a smackdown on. You don't want to feed the hot hand. So
The respect.
if getting rid of Teleshore's Morgan Le Fay is what you got to do, then hey, I like to see it because honestly, they ran the mid lane. It was so unfortunate for Green Dragon, but hey, it happens. You got if you're Andvari's greed, you just gotta brush it off, come back, say, hey, we're a game 2 and 3 team, and we'll come back.
We will have to see if they are able to come back in this next game. Let's see, will it be a 2-0, or are we going on to a game 3 after this? I don't know. We'll have to see. We'll be right back with Animosity.
welcome back, everyone, as we are getting into game number 2 in the Animosity Amateur Smite League. We've got the KC Avengers and Andvari's Greed. KC Avengers leading after a strong performance game 1, coming in 1-0. And right away, getting into the picks and bans, we see the KC Avengers sticking to their guns, banning the Kuklai Khan first overall. Do you think we'll see any switch-ups from Andvari's Greed?
Well, it is interesting to note that we do have a couple roster switches actually coming out of both sides. So that just one thing to note is that now we do have the original and main roster support player on KC Avengers. I actually really liked their support, but I mean, hey, if they want to up their game even more, I mean, best to them. We'll have to see how that changes maybe their god pools or their play style. We'll have to see how it goes. And also keep in mind that Gear Chief in the mid lane for Andvari's Greed will be stepping in now in place of their sub, who did play Raijin that last game. So we'll just see how that changes the game a little bit. I am intrigued that the bans are the exact same. No, very disrespectful to that Morgan Le Fay player, but I mean, Gear Chief is an experienced mid laner, has been playing the role for a long time, so I think honestly, if they feel like they can handle that matchup, I mean, if they want to retry it, run it back, salty old run back, then best to them.
I mean, to be fair, we did see the Bacchus first overall from the KC Avengers, so maybe they're not as worried that the Morgan Le Fay will be first picked overall, and Andvari's Greed will aim to pick it up with one of their two picks in the first selection, so we will see. And again, yes, indeed, Bacchus first overall for the KC Avengers. I mean, it worked game number 1. We're seeing some big belly flops, big burps, so...
Can't convince me it's meta.
I will win peace by force.
I personally will not be first picking Bacchus in my games, but I mean, Ganesh is off the table. That is his best counter. He's definitely less punishable. I would like to see something almost even like an Ares if they want to run back a similar comp that the KC Avengers were playing in that last game. Just thinking about Gilgamesh, really struggles. Bacchus really struggles. Shibelonke really struggles. Something I didn't think of before the break, but I mean, that could be something if they want to do. If KC Avengers do want to have a similar kind of comp, and Andvari's Greed do want to switch it up, it looks like they are going for that more long-range CC that I was mentioning that I wanted to see. So good to see. We do have that Aggie coming out on Gear Chief. I think this is one of his favorite picks as well that I am aware of. So definitely interested to see how that actually goes. But now there's on her. Now we have even more aggression, as if we already didn't have enough.
I was gonna say, on her, one of the best hunters in the game right now. Super aggressive, readily available to just get it in there, throw spears at you, and just absolutely 100 destroy you. If it says anything, I can play on her, so almost anyone can play on her. Let's be real here. But despite Morgan Le Fay being available, Vulcan now being selected for Telshore of the KC Avengers. Do you think they should have stick with the Morgan Le Fay knowing that they'd be facing the Agni, or do you feel like Vulcan is a better matchup overall?
I definitely prefer the Vulcan in this case, just for the sole fact that yes, someone like Morgan Le Fay does have the potential to really get in your face, but so does Agni. And honestly, I feel like the potential of just having that long range stun that Morgan Le Fay again doesn't have that movement speed, or has movement speed but no actual way of completely removing themselves, say a Scylla dash or even a Raijin in that case. It makes it very difficult in that way that you can't really attack, or they can kind of just eat all 3 bombs on cooldown if that's really something Gear Chief wants to invest into. So I actually definitely prefer the Vulcan. He can use the turret if he is getting out pressured a little bit. He has decent range, can clear the wave. Also, I think another thing important to note is that there is now just a lot of secure pressure on the side of Andvari's Greed. Something that is going to be really interesting. Both can technically provide quite a bit of Titan damage, so will be interesting to see if there's any kind of steal potential between any of these teams. But yeah, I'm definitely not mad at the Vulcan by any means.
Yeah, and as we talk about Andvari's greed, again, going to this Thor for Sniper Glen honestly wasn't too big of an impact in game
No.
one. I, as I said on the desk before game number one, you really have to be executing if you want to play Thor, and I just didn't really see it. So
Oh,
I'm
it's
a
like I
little,
called it. Aries. Sorry,
I'm,
go ahead.
I'm a little puzzled that they are deciding to go back, but hey, if you just feel like it was a hiccup game, a fluke maybe, you're ready to rock the Thor. I'm happy to see it. And indeed, I was gonna say, to give you your credit, KC Avengers really doing their homework and covering up for themselves, banning away that Ares that could have really posed a problem to their team comp, as now it looks like we see a Horus
Come,
being
we shall
hovered.
fly together.
This is an interesting pick.
Uh, like, it's okay. Um, like, I mean, it's a pretty decent matchup into the Bacchus where you can stun out pretty much you can stun out his burp. Kind of similar to, like, Nesh in a way. It does have a lot of that safety where you can just, like, even if you are out of position, which Casual did have a couple times where he did get really caught out of position, missed his Sobek plucks. Horus gives you a lot more safety in that fact that you can just, like, pick an ally and just fly right to them. And sometimes that feels like a really far distance. So it's a little more forgiving. I'm not really feeling it, honestly. I'm not in love with it by any means, but I mean, it's fine. We'll have to see how it goes. I mean, definitely, again, a very aggressive dual lane on coming out of both sides. And we have a King Arthur. Is this season 6?
Did Arthur come out in season 6? It's been so long.
He was
almost
OP
quit
in season 6.
I almost quit playing the game because of King Arthur on release. Man, that god was so busted.
Variety 1v5.
Oh god, I don't want to think about it. But as we see the Daji being locked in, we talked about gods that kind of need to, you need to be
Perform.
mechanically on point to
Mhm.
really be getting the full effect. If you're not hitting Daji's chains and pulling people to the Pal-Out, or at least yanking beads, then Daji just doesn't find the value of some of the other junglers. So, both these teams going for a bit more of a high execution style, taking a look at the KC Avengers, kind of lacking any serious form of CC. As we said, it's kind of tough for Bacchus. He has to jump in to use his main engage. So, it kind of leaves him as sitting duck. So I'm curious to see how they'll find the balance of that. But as we see for Andvari's greed, I know Cyrus being locked in.
Osiris definitely coming back into the meta. Definitely more meta than King Arthur. I think it's gonna be a very interesting matchup. I feel like right now Arthur just really struggles because Bluestone is just not able to compete with Axe, like, at all. And honestly, that is what you want to go on Arthur. If you're going Axe, it just doesn't feel nearly as good. You don't have the same kind of sustain. It's just, I don't know, it's not nearly as good. Anyone who ever plays Arthur knows that Bluestone is the go-to. So the fact that it's underwhelming, that'll be an interesting lane to look at. But I mean, also, it's Sort of Divine had a really nice Gilgamesh game. I was pleasantly surprised because I've seen some horrendous Gilgamesh gameplay in my lifetime. So if he can play the way with the Daji, the same way as that Gilgamesh, I'm absolutely terrified, especially playing as an Agni. I feel like Agni feels like he has so much safety, but you know what's really fun? Getting chased down by a Daji, because there's absolutely nothing you can do. You can stun your feet, which is fantastic that way, but it does make it really tough, so we'll have to see. We are going into game 1.
Here shortly, we will be heading into game 1. As we look into both these teams here now, do you feel like one team is going to have the edge over the other, or do you feel like they're pretty even?
Honestly, it's so tough, honestly. I feel like, in theory, the execution coming out of Andvari's greed is a lot easier. It's very obvious what they want to do. They want to get like a Horus stun into like an Agni bomb, or they want to get like some good damage coming off of the Thor Anvil of Dawn, or you get some chase down between Hachi and Osiris. But I mean, at the same time, if there is the mechanics that we have seen coming out of KC Avengers, I am absolutely terrified because having something all the beads burning dual lane mixed with a dodgy, and then you have like a Vulcan ult to just like one shot people as soon as they're done coming from the Palau. Very scary, and then Arthur just provides that sustained damage that they were kind of missing in a way. So I mean, it depends who wants to show up. It depends on a lot of things. That is a hilarious jump emote, by the way. Peak. I wish I saw that again. Um, so I don't know. We'll definitely have to see how it goes.
Yeah, and I'd like to point out, I think you kind of hinted on it as well. Andvari's Greed, I love the ease of entry that they have. Their engage is really nice. I mean, Sniper Glenn with the Anvil of Dawn, King Reese, Lord of the Afterlife, Horace just able to dash in, hit everyone, knock them up. So they have some really nice engage, and if Gear Chief is then able to follow up, drops Magni bombs on all that, I feel like that's really going to be the bread and butter of this Andvari's Greed team. So, and I was gonna say, let's see if they can execute it, but it should be relatively easy, just as long as they don't fall behind. So we'll see what they're able to do as now the buffs are spawning and being dropped, and we really begin our way into game number 2 of Andvari's Greed versus KC Avengers. KC Avengers 1 game away from taking this home as a 2-0.
Now the real question is, does Troll go that horrific emblem again? I mean, it would be kind of cool with like an on her. You know, you already got the slows, kind of similar to Shivalanki in that way. Casual's already getting poked out and not having a fun time at all, but they are going to lose some wave pressure because they went on to Casual for so much. Oh, never mind. Hachi just absolutely sucks at the first couple levels of clear. Yeah, I don't know. It's going to be very interesting. I think another thing that I definitely want to point out right off the top is the fact that Vulcan is going into that conduit gem start. I don't think there's necessarily like a bad way of going about it. Oh,
Module 1 will be able to pick up the first blood onto Mitter Troll.
No
Unfortunately, we
either.
weren't able to see that. Yeah, you know, I imagine it was probably some sort of knock-up or something that couldn't be beat.
It was Horus stun into knock-up, and he didn't use it.
Yeah, you know, that's just what Horus does, you know. If you're caught lacking for even a second, then you're just donezo. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
But, Casual already having a much better game, and it's been a couple minutes, so I just want to shout that out. Very comfortable on this Horus. Again, makes sense. He did play as a solo laner for several years. That has been his main role for a very long time, and I know for a fact he was always comfortable piloting this Horus pick, even if it wasn't the solo lane. So,
Mitter Troll almost falling to the double tap, and we'll see King Reese now getting dove on by It's Oh So Divine, and he will be able to pick up the kill onto King Reese. And it's tough, man. If you're King Arthur behind as Gear Chief now hold that thought. Oh man, so tough. Gear Chief almost falling. But Sniper Glenn will be able to teleport to the hammer, but unfortunately for Gear Chief hits everything though, but the backfire kills Gear Chief, and with that, Sniper Glenn now has to get out, being chased down by Divine, and man, you see that damage coming out from Daji. She does over half his HP bar with just a few seconds, man. That's tough.
Good stun coming out of Bacchus, and I mean, I don't think it's gonna matter, but just able to keep themselves alive and keep that pressure up a little bit. That is taking a lot of damage coming out of just Hachi autos, just eating them. Yeah, that hurt me to watch, honestly. The fact there's no reason Vulcan should ever get out alive there. Unfortunate. It happens. But now he does have, once again, almost a level lead. King Reese is he's dead.
He's chained! And that should be a death for this Osiris. And It's Oh So Divine has kind of planted his flag in the solo lane. And honestly, I'm for it. You know, getting the solo fed is never a bad idea. But we now see over in the duo, Andvari's Greed duo lane, just in between the tier 1 and tier 2 towers, proxying. And yeah, Nate of the Faces is gonna fall here. Mitter Troll up, down, and gets the kill on Cookie Named Joe. Casual One does not have the ultimate. Will Mitter Troll be able to hear ult and he'll get the 2v1 double kill? Mid or Troll doing a little bit of stunting out here. Love to see it. You know, Andvari's Greed just staying in a bad spot for a little too long.
Oh no!
But Gear Chief now
What
is rotating
this?
in.
Oh!
But he gets skewered
That
away.
was the world's latest beats. Yep. Okay.
And with that, Mid or
There we
Troll
go.
will fall to Sniper Glenn. Big rotation coming out from AG. But, man,
Oh.
it's a pretty big rotation. And we see, you know, I'm calling this the game of up-downs. This is the set of up-downs. Because we saw them all last game. We see them all this game. Everyone's just up-down and being aggressive. I like this type of, as hold that thought, man. Gear
Ow.
Chief getting the stun, doing some damage, and
Oh.
Divine now follows up
Wait.
and beats used, and
Go Sniper.
Sniper Glenn still will be able to get the kill onto Telshore.
Love spectator
You're-
bugs, by the way. That was beautiful. Crazy to know. I mean, both junglers kind of getting in there this game. I mean, we see it in different areas. I mean, Sniper going more towards this mid lane and Divine going more towards the soul lane. And honestly, I feel like right now, I feel like right now it makes it really tough because I feel like realistically, I hate to say it, but I feel like Divine kind of has the right strategy a little bit, and I don't mean that to be rude to this Thor or anything. It's just the way the game's been playing out and who's been kind of falling to the wayside. But unfortunately, yeah, look at this soul lane. You can just easily go and invade this blue buff on CD. We have noticed that Sniper has not been here for these blue buffs. Wait, we're just getting in there, hey? Wow.
Man, I love this duel lane. Mid or Troll going to be able to take down a cookie named Joe, and
Wow.
Casual and forced to ult out. They're just swinging at each other in duo, and I love it. And you know, only about 500 gold ahead is the KC Avengers right now, so not a huge gold lead, but they're coming out ahead in some of these fights. So I wonder if they're going to be able to make more out of it as the game goes later on. As we see Gear Chief now being dove,
There we
and
go.
beautiful disengaged self peel for him. And now Sniper Glenn could be looking to collapse. Unfortunately for him, doesn't have the ult, but Telshort is rather low. And the wall here will connect.
Yeah, there we
allowing
go.
for the double tap. And now Gear
Here's
Chief
our beats.
doesn't have. He's
Oh!
probably going to be pulled into his death, and there it is.
No!
But it's so Divine, caught by the Thor, and he
Oh.
will be able to TP to the
Bastion's
Bastion
OP.
and get himself to safety, man. Those Bastions saving Dajis everywhere.
Very interesting play coming out of both sides, honestly, because, like, I feel as though, like, realistically, that Gear Chief didn't really need to step up for that. I feel like he did that specifically so he could help out his Thor, try and get that kill just in case he ended up missing anything. But, sorry, I feel like you need to just trust your jungler in this case. I feel like that's really important. Just know that he will just be able to get this kill. It's also important to note that looking at this as well, that King Reese is still same level. I mean, O2, Osiris doing Osiris things. Still getting a little bit bullied, but by no means is having a rough time. It does have failings on now, so that's item's kind of like broken at this point. So, I mean, yeah. Super nice, honestly, and is getting a little bit bullied, but certainly mitigating this lane more than anything. So honestly, the lead really is just coming out of this dodgy at this point. I mean, and that's not too bad. We take it at this point. This is definitely going better than the lead that KC Avengers had in the previous match.
Yeah, by this point in the game, it seemed like the table really started to shift towards the Avengers side, as now we
Gold?
see...
Gold?
Oh yeah, Gold Fury is being taken now. Nate
What?
taking a whole lot of damage though. Will they be able to secure this in time? They will, and if Andvari's Greed are able to look for an engage here, this could be absolutely deadly. It's also Divine going to be able to get into the powwow and will not be able to pull anyone in. Mid or Troll now in a bit of a precarious spot. Nah, he's fine. Don't worry about it. King Reese now is low, but he's safe under his own tower.
Oh.
Or is he?
Oh, up down
Bobego.
again. Back to the up down city.
Yeah. You know, up down set. I'm really feeling it. But yeah. King Reese able to get the back off. Everyone's safe and sound in the solo lane, as it should be.
And just as I say that Andvari's Greed did have a really great grasp on this game, again, they just fall behind again to these objectives. Like, I don't think they were expecting at all. I don't think they had a singular idea that they were on this Gold Fury. And I feel like that's just a communication thing. We gotta call out that, hey, I don't see anybody on this map right now. And unfortunately, we have a Vulcan. We have it on her. I mean, surely if all three of those are missing, we gotta be kind of questioning something here in this way. And they kind of pay for it. Oso Divine is, in trouble though.
Yeah, it's so Oso Divine will definitely fall. Sniper Glenn able to pick that up. And just like that, Andvari's Greed practically evens up the gold lead. Bobego now being ran at, but nothing going to happen. Because of it, he will be able to slink back to his tower in safety. As now we see Bacchus returns to his home in the duo lane, but Cookie named Joe will make it back to the safety of his tower, and nothing going to turn out of that either. As Telshore takes a bit of poke in mid, but just going to retreat and grab that chest camp, and everything will be okay.
Something I want to point out in game 1, it looks like there's going to be an engage, some damage coming out, but I think it's just going to be trade on both sides. Yeah, not surprising. No really huge engagement coming out of either side. Kind of want to wait for their damage to fully be able to come off. But, I mean, this is something I wanted to point out going into this last match. I didn't know if they would do it again. I know the build is pretty standard on Morgan Le Fay. Oh, buddy.
Yeah,
He's
King
dead.
Reese here
He's
being run down.
Wait,
but
no
he's
shot?
he
No
is
shot.
out of range for the dodgy Powell out.
Oh.
He's going to be able to get himself some safety back behind that
Christian.
tier 1 tower. And Troll will fall soloed by Cookie named Joe as he hops on the horse, gets the mounted archery, and it looks like he might even be able to take that tier 1 tower. Get himself a nice little cache of gold over in the duo lane. As now we see
a lot of damage here coming out of Andvari's Greed, and Kieran Steve needs to be absolutely careful. We are really...
Oh my goodness!
That's disgusting. And this is the thing, exactly what I want to talk about was this build coming out of this Vulcan, because this is not the meta build right now, by any means. Conduit Gem, Charon's Coin, when is the last time we have seen Doom Orb, Charon's Coin? Like, we're literally getting a buff on Tuesday for Conduit. Like, it hurts though, apparently. Like, apparently don't knock it till you try it. Like, this build apparently is absolutely disgusting. And you know what? It does kind of make sense in a way. I mean, Vulcan uses movement speed for pretty much everything that he does. His backfire, the faster you can get to someone or away from someone, it makes sense. I'm definitely not against this build. I'm pleasantly surprised, to say the least, that it's working. Casual is
He's getting in there, but unfortunately being the support, not able to do all that much damage quite yet, as both teams now kind of just disengaging, heading towards that mid lane. Another thing that we see again from Telshore is this golden shard. I don't know, maybe it's secret tech, but I don't understand it.
It's
but
the tech.
hey,
Surely.
you know, everyone has their little thing that they love to do, so you know, I can't fault him if it's working, and so far it has been working.
Good to note though, he doesn't have a lead going into this, like, you know, mid game right now. Is pretty much keeping up with Gear Chief. They are pretty much mirroring each other, if anything. And I hate to say it, but I mean, like, Gear Chief might have this advantage, is building into that Book of Thoth, is almost stacked. The unfortunate part is that, you know, the later you build it now, ironically, it usually stacks a bit faster, so you typically don't build it first nowadays, but, I mean, he's gonna start hurting very soon, especially going into that flat pen. I imagine, I don't know if it's gonna just be if it's gonna be divine or otherwise. I feel like it's not worth it, but it could always be that as well. And once you hit those 3 item spikes on Agni, this is when you can start killing people with just your bombs. Before this, it's hard. You really have to hit your entire combo. But now, once he gets into this, he'll finally be able to have a little bit more room for error, which is going to be really nice going into these fights, especially going after someone like this Dodgy when he gets attacked.
As now we see Andvari's Greed trying to get a bit of damage off onto the Daji, but It's So Divine is so smooth and able to just dash on out like Daji do. And something that I kind of wanted to point out, we talked about Sniper Glenn not having the greatest game in game number 1 on this store. Currently 4-0, absolutely keeping up with It's Oh So Divine, and you know, doing much better. Love to see it. Just going back to that pick, and but as we see now, Gear Chief, the only one stepping up to this Gold Fury. KC Avengers now easily able to take that, secure it for their own, and the backline of Andvari's Greed being absolutely run down. Cookie named Joe and Gear Chief under siege, and It's Oh So Divine will be picked up by Sniper Glenn though. But as we see now, Gear Chief is on the run, but Bobago could be caught out here. Will they fall? No, they'll be able to get away, potentially? No. They're taking so much damage, but still living. And with that, Andvari's Greed is going to back it up, as they did lose their damage dealers, all for It's Oh So Divine. And I feel like, as a Daji, you have to accept that, you know? You feel pretty good. Alright, I may have died, but both the beads and also the Aegis for Gear Chief is down, and the beads on Cookie named Joe. So, and you traded your life for 2. I feel like you have to feel pretty successful.
100%. And I mean, now that they are going for this Pyromancer, fantastic call. I mean, we see everyone just coming out of base, so they should, in theory, just be able to burn this fast enough where it's not going to matter. And this is going to be a little closer than I want. But I mean, if they are, even if they don't get out here, it looks like Vulcan will not be getting out. Please. Oh,
Casual one bringing the team with him as Telshore now will be crit down, and Gear Chief able to pick up the kill on Nate of the Faces, but It's Oh So Divine will get the trade back onto Gear Chief, and Casual one is really low, and Daji able to dash her way in, but Casual just a little too tanky, able to sustain off that damage and not worry about it, as he will make his way to base. But
recap, I mean, like, it gotta favor Avengers at this point. I mean, yes, technically we were able to kill Telshore, we were able to kill Nate, but it's not like neither of them had any kind of shutdown bonus. Their entire lead at this point is really just coming through their objective play. Was a little spotty. I almost really thought that King Reese was going to steal it on that Osiris for a second, but I mean, even if you lose both of them, I mean, going into the fight over on that left side, you had only Daji dying, you got Gold Fury, you were able to come over to Pyromancer. 2 people did die for it, not the best kind of trade that you really want, but I mean, again, you're getting those Pyromancers, you're getting those. It looks like no one grabbed the bomb, but I mean, who needs that, right? I don't know, and we can see it coming in the XP and gold charts. There's just a slight lead now, but again, we saw what happened that first game. Those slight leads can really inflate very quickly.
Yeah, I mean, as we slowly approach the 20-ish minute mark, you know, that's when you start to see the leads really start to balloon. If one team can really push the envelope and start to roll the snowball down the hill, it can get deadly really quickly. And luckily for Andvari's Greed, they're not too far behind. You know, only about 2-ish thousand gold at this point in the game isn't anything, you know. Obviously, you're not elated, but you're also not crying over being this far down. So,
100%.
Still signs of life, as Middertroll barely able to dodge out the Thor wall, and Telshore throwing out that Earthshaker. Not much going to be found out of it.
As your Chief is getting ran at for a little bit, but nice wall coming out of Sniper, and it looks like perfect correct. Able to trade for that tower. I have to mention, by the way, Minotaur is allergic. Absolutely allergic to getting Aegis. Has to go for that horrific emblem. I'm so glad that's getting nerfed too.
Oh
Having
god, it's so strong. I hate having to build it every game as a support. I just, please make it worse. It's so good, but it's also so bad to have to build every game. Let me be unique, but
let me have some item diversity. Build
please.
diversity.
As we see the blink in, and now the beads forced out by Sniper, Glenn, Excalibur's Wrath doing work, and now big pull from its Oso Divine, and Reese and Casual One will fall, and now Gear Chief also being horrific, and he is low, but he will pick up the return kill. Oso Divine will die in trade, but right now we see Bobego. Yeah, Bobego just buys so much space, so much time, and just like that, we're seeing, you know, KC Avengers are getting to the point where they're not only winning the team fights, they're also getting the objectives. So before maybe they were losing the team fight, winning the objective. Now they're just cleanly winning these team fights and getting the objective. So, you know, really worrisome stuff if you're an AG fan. You know, definitely don't like the way this game is headed, not the right direction, but we will see if they're able to turn things around, as now about a 4,000 gold lead developing for the KC Avengers.
For sure, and I mean, yeah, absolutely insane. It looks like, I mean, realistically here, if we're really taking a look at it, like, it's really just gonna start favoring more and more, in my opinion, at least the KC Avengers, because a lot of the comp coming out of Andvari's Greed is really just kind of pick oriented. Like, I'm thinking like Sniper can have some fantastic Anvil Dons, don't get me wrong, but let's be real, the main strength coming out of Thor really can be those early game rotations and those early ganks, and just having that map pressure and having the side lanes or your mid lane consistently be worried you're going to just get ulted on cooldown, which isn't fun. And Dodgy can have the potential, we saw it, kill multiple people at once. Cookie Name Joe is in a lot of trouble. I think he's just dead. Surely.
Yeah, it's Oso Divine will be on the chase down, and that will be caught for Joe, and he is going to get absolutely shredded. He saw it, he gave it up. And I do like this though, realizing that Dodgy is on the other side of the map, and now grabbing the Pyromancer, and Bobego in a really bad spot, but he's also King Arthur. He is spinning to win, and huge damage from Telshore. Bobego is low, but he is in a spot of safety right now, and Casual One, though, is ulting, leaves Gear Chief behind. See you later, buddy. Sorry for your loss. What a wall, though! Everyone makes it out safe on Andvari's Greed, thanks to that beautiful wall and stun. But now...
Is Sniper the support?
Hey, you know.
Is Thor support OP? It sounds like a weakened title, honestly, in my opinion. But yeah, I mean, fantastic plays coming out of them. They do notice again that Cookie Name Joe was just getting absolutely mauled over in that left lane, and want to come over and actually take out that Pyromancer. So, I mean, fantastic play. Unfortunately, they couldn't get more out of it in that 1v2. And King Reese is
holy
dead, right?
damage. King Reese
so
is getting shredded. But I mean, you saw the on her ult ripping through, and he's still living through it all. I mean, Casual One, we see his health bar dropping. He is not able to sustain nearly as much damage, and now we see Oso Divine right behind Gear Chief, but Gear Chief will be able to pick up mid or troll, and now Gear Chief able to dash away. Dodgy into the pal out, and we see Earthshaker annihilates Casual One. Gear Chief is low, but Telshore able to pick that up, but Sniper Glenn able to return the kill onto Nate of the Faces, and now we see Cookie and Joe fighting for his life. Will he be able to pick up the kill? Backfire, and Bobego gets the kill. Oh my goodness, these boys are giving me a heart attack. This is some entertaining smite to watch as both teams lose 3.
I mean, no one ended up getting any objectives. You know, it's pretty even across the board, honestly. And anything that Andvari's Greed can do to really just waited out a little bit, then I see it is what it is, honestly. They are technically the ones behind, so the fact they are having pretty favorable matchups and favorable fights is completely fine, honestly. Can I shout out, though, how disgusting it was that King Reese lived at the beginning of that engagement? If I promise you, if he wasn't so tanky, because he should have died. I'm pretty sure almost every other solo lane should technically just die there. Osiris Tether is just absolutely fantastic for this. But I mean, seriously though, if he doesn't, he ate like 3 different ultimates. Even if he dies there, there's such a better favorable fight going in for Andvari's Greed that
Short going to try and ultimate that and won't be able to get it, but now KC Avengers going to be able to pick up the Gold Fury, and now they're going to have to hightail it away as Gear Chief now steps up trying to get the green, but will he be killed off? No, he will not. Luckily, it looked like another beautiful Thor wall was able to peel for the team. I'm starting to think that Sniper Glad might be the team support. I don't know, man.
I'm convinced. You can't convince me otherwise, honestly. Absolutely. Like, seriously fantastic supportive gameplay coming out of Sniper Glenn. If he is doing anything this game, it is certainly being the world's greatest Thor wall peeler. Like, it's been two in a row now. Like, I'm severely impressed at this point. It's so tough though. They took so long to do that objective. Like, it was painfully long. Like, I really think a lot of it came down to that communication. It looks like that Casual was on it for like actually quite a bit, and it looks like he was calling it for quite a bit, but it took just a little long to get some engagement out. Keep in mind though, they are at a deficit right now. Metatron did just back, is coming out of base now. This would be Andvari's Greed time to fight, but just take more damage too. That works too.
Yeah, as we see, King Reese is tanky, but taking almost half his HP bar in that little scuffle there. Just, it's so hard to stay alive into a Vulcan. You step up the wrong way and get blasted by a turret. You know, and dear goodness if you get hit by the Earthshaker. But as we see now, KC Avengers just able to freely drop this Pyromancer. Their zone is so good. That's exactly what King Arthur does. He just buys so much space. He is just such a wall, absolutely impossible to pass. And I mean, Bobego sitting at 3-0-8, doing an absolutely amazing job on this KA so far.
Yeah, 100%. And no one's really been able to actually kill him by any means. Like, at this point, he is pretty tanky. He has that Glad Shield, he has Void Shield. Gotta love all the shields. I want to see someone build a full shield build, by the way. Like, I personally, I just need it, like, for my own happiness. Yeah, and the Glorious Pridwin as well, that provides you a bit more prots. Kind of fantastic coming out of his ultimate, though. As soon as that one drops, they just get mauled, which is absolutely fantastic to me. Soulsaw has pointed that out. Knows that as the solo lane person in this call. And yeah, I think he's been doing absolutely fantastic. The build is working for him despite being King Arthur in this meta, and has just been someone consistently annoying, consistently providing that sustained damage that, again, I mentioned before, they were kind of missing. The only person outside of that really does that is Dodgy, and realistically, you want to one-shot someone rather than just doing sustained damage. So, I mean, doing exactly what they need to do is at an 8,000 gold lead again. This just ballooned out of control so quick.
Yeah, we kind of said that as we now have a pause here. Just KC Avengers is absolutely just growing this lead to massive amounts. Really impressive stuff. So, you know, a little bit of foresight from us coming true that they would be really able to. Yeah, you can see that little blip there where it just goes straight up. Just KC Avengers is absolutely starting to run away with this one, and if Andvari's Greed do not turn this around, we could see a repeat of game number 1, lickety split.
A little bit back. I feel like the main difficulties right now is coming from the casual one in this Horus. Hasn't really been able to find all the engagements that you'd really want to. It seems like like when he does go in, unfortunately, like the follow up isn't always there, and I feel like he's just been having trouble being tanky enough to even go for these engagements. It makes it absolutely very difficult. So, I mean, I feel like once this horse is able to come online a little bit more, finally get more of those prophetic stacks that I noticed he was building, it might make the gameplay a little bit easier, but who knows?
And it seems like we're having a bit of technical difficulties for one of the players, so we will throw it to a quick break and hopefully be back with you shortly. We will be back with the Animosity Amateur Smite League. See you soon. And we are back in this exciting KC Avengers versus Andvari's Greed game. This is game number 2, as we see the KC Avengers now are trying to take this Fire Giant. Looks like it might be a 50-50 here, as both teams able to get in, and Andvari's Greed steal away the Fire Giant. Big dunk in, coming in from Sniper Glenn. Telshore is low, will get the knock up, and King Reese is able to pick up the kill onto Telshore. Will they be able to get out, though? It looks like they will not. Mid-air Troll will be able to pick up that kill. But
Surprised they went in there anyway. I mean, they stole Fire Giant. I'd personally just be like, you know, how about we just leave? But like, I mean, honestly, King Reese got in there. I mean, never gonna complain about killing Telshore in this case. Has been just kind of a menace this whole game, and anytime that he dies, I'm sure they're all jumping for joy. So I mean, they do have fire. It's not enhanced, so it doesn't really mean too much. But I mean, definitely has a huge potential to just mitigate such a gold lead here. I mean, we have. Unfortunately, Pyramel is gonna seem like it's gonna go to just the Avengers unless
Gear Chief is here, and Telshore is not available to secure. So, but Gear Chief now getting absolutely melted. Big CC coming out, and Andvari's Greed will steal another objective. They get the Primal Fury, and Casual One now will get the knockup. Mid-air Troll will fall to Sniper Glenn. Gear Chief now taking a whole bunch of damage courtesy of King Arthur, but now Bobago gets knocked up and he will be shredded by Cookie Named Joe. Nate of the Faces now is on the retreat as Andvari's Greed has shrunken the almost 2,000 gold lead.
And
now Telshore gets taken down again. Cookie Named Joe on a hot streak, and now the tier 1 tower will fall, and the tier 2 tower will also fall, melted like hot butter. It looks like Andvari's Greed now pushing for this Phoenix. Mid-air Troll up in 15 seconds, and Andvari's Greed are pushing for the Titan. Still a few structures up, so it'll be pretty tanky. Up down is coming in. It's also Divine is dead though. It doesn't matter. All that's left is Mid-air Troll and Nate of the Faces. But Andvari's Greed are going to turn around and run. Nate of the Faces trying his best to get in there, but not much is going to happen. And as Andvari's Greed are going to fall back and probably take a few more structures down before they attempt to go in on that Titan again.
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, like, even if, though, they aren't able to end, they certainly are able to set themselves up for something absolutely beautiful at this point. The gold is literally even at this point. Everyone throw out the Hail Mary for KC Avengers. That was a little bit of a throw, I'm going to be honest. I can't even sugarcoat it. I'm going to be 100% honest. They were kind of just, like, going in one by one and kind of dying into the team of Fire Giant. Not exactly what you want to do. We'll see how they recover from it. It is only mid-Phoenix, not a big deal, but their soul laner is going for blue. But it looks like they're really not going to be able to get too much outside of this. I mean, Fire Giant is almost back up again, so it's going to fall off right away. I mean, the best I see at this point is they could get that tier 1 over in that solo lane, which is good. Should have probably been down a while ago. Just sets up a little less problems if, say, KC Avengers want to run away anywhere. They have to go more into the jungle, less through towers. It looks like they might push for this tier 2. I don't know how I feel about that, considering Casual on this horse is all the way back there, but I don't know if he just doesn't know
Mid-air Troll's getting shredded and will be picked off with the mounted archery. No escape from this Hachimon. Cookie Named Joe is absolutely rolling right now, and as is all of Andvari's Greed, they will take the tier 2 and fall back. Fire Giant spawns in 40 seconds. I imagine they're going to ward up and get ready now for that EFG. If Andvari Greed is able to take this, this would be absolutely huge. Already a mid-Phoenix down for the KC Avengers. If they get a big enough wipe like they did on the Avengers, like they did previously, that could just be game. There's not as many structures now. The Titan won't be as tanky. I really think that this is Andvari's Greed's moment to just kind of finish out this game. But who knows? We were saying that earlier for the KC Avengers, so we'll see what happens. But right now, it is Andvari's Greed game to win. Try saying that 5 times fast.
Seeing it and seeing like Bacchus like essentially like go through Fire Giant while it's spawning. Very interesting. I love the graphics there. I mean, it looks like they are dancing around it, but I mean, there are some like, no, not really. There's really no boards on the side of the KC Avengers. There's like one. It's not fantastic.
We saw
Arthur
Nate of the
just
Faces
teleported to it.
backing, and that means that it'll be a 4v5. Bobega able to teleport back in, but getting zoned out here by King Reese, doing an absolutely wonderful job. And just like that, Andvari's Greed will be able to pick up this enhanced Fire Giant, and they are headed right towards that mid lane. They're going to grab the wave, and I assume push down this weakened middle Phoenix. Or they will take the beacon instead.
I mean, you are able to put damage onto basically every single structure in each of the lanes. Almost can really just take out this Phoenix. Oh my goodness, absolutely terrifying. I know the beacon can't actually take out full Phoenixes. That is one of the mechanics. Probably for the best, but I mean, let's be honest, a singular auto from a cookie named Joe at this point will be taking that mid Phoenix out. There's no point in trying to defend it. I do just like the idea of them wanting to group up, have some kind of defense onto this left-hand Phoenix, and just kind of like let it be for a little bit. Yeah, the fact that they have so many people wanting to defend this Phoenix is like not even worth it for me. I feel like you have one person max, because now, look at, they're getting so much damage already. I couldn't even just able to free cast over onto this Phoenix. It's gone.
Nate of the Face is the only one there. Absolutely criminal. And with that, both middle and left Phoenix will fall. Andvari's Greed are now stepping up, pushing in towards the Titan. But Sniper is going to fall back. And Reese taking so much damage, but so is mid or Troll. And it looks like Andvari's Greed going to take a moment, step back, and push with that Oni wave into the right-hand Phoenix. That thing should be gone in an instant. But
engagement coming
Labego
out, though.
is gonna dash in, and Casual One taking so much damage from that Earthshaker, and King Reese now also taking so much damage, going to be absolutely shredded. The bombs from Agni are doing a lot, and Andvari's Greed now forced to retreat. Got a little overzealous. They wanted the third Phoenix, didn't necessarily need it. Gear Chief is going to be able to dash away though, and oh
Love
my
crit.
god, so much damage coming out.
Love crit.
Luckily for
That's very fun.
Andvari's Greed, they will be able to back up. Only lost Fire Giant on 2 for 2 Phoenixes. That's probably worth it, but definitely going to want to take that third one as well.
See why they wanted to go in there, but I feel like it was definitely a little bit hasty. I understand that they want to go in there solely because they have that Oni wave coming in with them, and it seems like it would be just the best time to push. But at the same time, not everyone was 100% grouped. It didn't seem like everyone was on the same page. I mean, there was like a really great engagement coming out of Bobego with his King Arthur ultimate, and I mean, it kind of spooked them really bad. You could see the front line really didn't care that much, even though they were taking quite a bit of damage. I mean, Casual did end up falling, but I mean, they put so much resources into them. I'm very surprised Andvari's Greed just kind of like backed off the way they did. I feel like realistically it would have been completely fine if they just stayed and fought, because realistically it kind of caused King Reese to go in there thinking they would have. You could kind of see the miscommunication there, and he ended up dying for it too at that point.
Something I did want to point out as we hold that thought, because Andvari's Greed now are pushing up
Round
to
two.
that right lane Phoenix, down
They want
to Fire Giant buffs, but the whole team is here. The whole team is healthy. We'll see if they'll be able to fully crack open the base of the KC Avengers. I imagine they will, as they do have enhanced Fire Giant waves in both enhanced fire minions pardon me, in both the mid and duo side lane. So they will just fall back though. Fire Giant spawning in about a minute. Definitely understandable. You don't want to lose anyone right before the big dance at the AFG. So understandable. Playing it cautious. I can't imagine that the KC Avengers are going to be able to step up, but they're stepping up here and taking so much damage. And Telshore is
Is it
already
flip?
almost dead. And
That means
now
that
they
Phoenix
should be
is
able
gonna
to get that
fall.
Phoenix for absolutely free.
Good engagement on Bodego though.
Vigego going on to Gear Chief. That Phoenix will pop. King Reese fighting for his life up in the front. Gear Chief still on the run. It looks like King Reese might fall, but also
Oh,
low HP.
tanky.
Yes, so tanky, so low were King Reese and Gear Chief, but they're able to make it out. And just like that, all three Phoenixes down for the KC Avengers. And now Andvari Greed able to back up, and they are headed towards that enhanced Fire Giant.
Couple like
Andvari's
small
game.
positioning errors really coming out of KC Avengers here. Like we saw, like I don't really know why like 3 of them were like in between the Phoenixes, like by that buff, but I mean, I guess it is what it is. Unfortunately, isn't able to steal, but it was very close. Ugh. It looks like, wow, yeah. Oh, damage coming at King Reese here. And, I mean, they already was still the Fire Giant, so this might honestly just be game at this point, but I mean, they have to play it slow. I feel like that's the one thing that Andvari's Greed is really struggling with in this game. Like, and just the fact that they're overextending in certain ways and they're not being patient. I feel like they have a lot of these, like, advantages in terms of, like, Fire Giant now, and now they have some minions coming in. Just wait. Wait it out a little bit. Literally go and like one tap a Phoenix, like it's gonna be completely fine at this point, and then just play it very slow, like do very small engagements to try and just go in, because honestly I feel like they're gonna really struggle if they just run right in, but they might not honestly if Bodego gets completely caught
Omega,
out.
what a wall, getting stunned out, and now he's knocked up. He is absolutely
Never mind.
dead. Cookie named Joe going to be able to pick that up, and I imagine now Andvari's Greed are looking to finish off these last few low Phoenixes, and they could be pushing for an end here as we see Sniper Glenn headed up. That mid lane Phoenix will pop. Earthshaker comes out, and Cookie named Joe will fall to the Earthshaker. And Andvari's Greed are not deterred. Telshore will fall. It's Oso Divine getting 2 kills. And now Gear Chief getting 2 of his own. And now it is just the Bacchus alive to try and defend. Luckily for him, Gear Chief does not have sustained damage, but man, that burst is chunking
They
the
can
left-hand
end though
Phoenix.
at this point. I feel like it's they might. I feel like it's closer than you want it to be for sure though.
Yeah,
Oh.
they should definitely be able to
No.
pick this up here as the Agni Bombs will rain down, and with that Flame Wave, Andvari's Greed on the back of Gear Chief will be able to fell the enemy Titan. And with that, we're going to a game number 3. Andvari's Greed taking game number 2.
Their passive was activated. I mean, we talked about it. Game 1, it's never good for them, and then all of a sudden they just start realizing, hey, we actually know how to play the game. We actually play with each other. We are a team. And look what happens. They all of a sudden are able to take it back. Not in the easiest fashion. Definitely not as much of a stomp as it was the previous week. But, I mean, they definitely, they're bringing it to a game 3. So, I mean, a couple things to work on, I'm sure. But, I mean, good on them. They're able to bring it back.
Yeah. One thing I just want to point out, take a look at the wards. The casual one has placed 43 wards. I think that's the most I've
On a mission.
ever seen in an amateur league. That's kind of insane. I mean, he had a warding chalice. Gear Chief, I believe, also at one point did have a warding chalice, but ended up selling it as he only used 3 of those wards. So, not the best return on investment, but 3 is better than 0. And with that, we will throw it to a quick break while the players get ready for game number 3 of this exciting set of the Animosity Amateur Smite League. We'll be right back, folks. Welcome back, everyone, as we head into the final game of this best of 3 set between Andvari's Greed and the KC Avengers. I am Joy Wolf, joined by Lana with Soul Slaw on the production, and we would all like to welcome you back to the Animosity Amateur Smite League. You know, I'm noticing a trend with these picks and bans. They look very similar.
Crazy.
Okay,
Crazy.
there's a difference.
That's
okay.
different. There we
Hachiman
go.
being banned. I dig it.
You know what? I'm okay with that. I think, truthfully, just knowing a cookie named Joe, I mentioned it before, I feel like he has better picks. So, like, I understand wanting to go for the meta here, but I feel like this leaves a lot more opportunity. And honestly, I don't even know if really banning Hachiman was worth it in that case. I know that God Pool is pretty diverse, so it does leave open someone, though. That could either be Ganesh, Athena, or who else was it? Bologna? Yeah, so that means one of them is gonna slide through. Now, it just really depends on... Okay, well, now we know. It's definitely either Athena or... I literally just said it, guys. This is how I can
Ganesh.
tell. Ganesh, there we go. But do they first pick it? Is that worth it? I don't know. I mean, Athena for sure. Ganesh, I don't know. I feel like he can get countered pretty well. So I don't know if that's really necessarily like first pick worthy. But I guess like if you're letting it slide through picks and bans, you gotta pick it first, right?
Cool.
Athena.
I was about to say, do you leave the Ganesh and the Athena and pick whichever one is not
I
taken?
liked the idea.
But it seems like Andvari's Greed will not go with that option, and as we see the Athena being hovered and slam locked in, the KC Avengers gladly picking up the Athena.
Crazy.
To be honest, I don't really see the casual one being a big Ganesh player. So, you know, we've seen that, you know, he prefers to get in there and be more aggressive, and that's not really Ganesh's motif, more of a peel support, not an engage support. But something that proved me wrong, this Thor being locked in again, an absolute crazy performance, total 180 from Sniper Glenn. I always love to see it when a player doesn't quite perform in, you know, we say, they might not have wanted this, and then they absolutely prove us wrong. It is so good to see.
Yeah, absolutely turned on the Jets. Same with this Agni. Whew.
Yeah, Gear Chief had a little game on the Agni. Might not have had the strongest ward game, but his Agni game was pretty fire, guys. I don't know.
Yeah, unfortunate part about Agni is that you get to late game and all of a sudden you don't really have, like, if your backliner doesn't have Aegis, which Mitter Troll once again didn't have Aegis, kind of makes it difficult to play because you can just get stunned, 3-man bombed, and you just don't get to play the game at that point. So I'm very glad that Gucci picked this up. I am very interested. It looks like they are going to go back to that Shivalanke. Interesting. Huh. Okay. I'm not mad at it by any means. I feel like with Athena, I was kind of expecting more like classic damage. I feel like this is definitely like not a traditional kind of dueling that I would see with an Athena, but I'm certainly not going to complain. But Telsor sure is back on the Smorla face, so that's concerning. I'm scared again. Once again.
Ooh, you know, I'm really curious to see, and there it is, the Allfather being locked in. Right
Beautiful
now,
pick.
no one really gets out of the cage, so...
Beautiful pick.
You know, it's really hard to argue against the Odin here. It forces the opposing support, if that is who's going to be picking up the shell, I imagine it will be, to spend gold to upgrade that. Not the greatest feeling when you're getting your relics for free, but you absolutely need that phantom shell earlier than you're going to be getting it on a support. So I really like that here. You know, just cage everyone in, drop some Agni bombs, drop an anvil, dawn, easy team fight, easy game.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, yeah, what a wombo combo, honestly. Like, if you want damage with an Odin, Agni is exactly who you want to go for. So I have absolutely no qualms against this. I'm also I am a little sad that Ares is once again getting banned. I feel like that also would have been a fantastic pick, especially into that dual lane. But I'm certainly not going to complain by any means. And in turn, we have Osiris and we have Susano, which is, yeah, I guess that makes sense. I guess Susano is able to kill Agni pretty easily if that is the case. And now we have on her, so we are going to see something new coming out of Cookie Named Joe. Probably something a little more off meta. We don't have on her. We don't have Hachi. Now Shibalank is off the table. We are getting lower into the Hunter God pool. So I feel like having someone that is able to just get in there would be so beneficial, because that just seems like currently him in casual style at the moment. I mean, we saw it at like, what was it, level 5? Past their tier 1 fighting. I mean, they lost for it, but like the energy, I feel like someone that can get in there early and quick, I feel like that's definitely who they want to go for.
Yeah, they may have gotten double killed, but they were being aggressive. So, you know,
I am the
as
terror of the depths.
oh,
That's not who I was thinking.
that's the
Okay.
god in the game.
That's
it can
that's
be
not
locked
who I
in.
wanted, but sure. Yep. Okay.
Charybdis, a
Um,
character in Smite that you can play. You know, you want to break that one down for me, Lana?
I like genuinely, I don't think Charybdis is one of the worst characters of the Hunter pool right now. She's not good, don't get me wrong. But like, and it also just doesn't seem like Joe's style at all from what we've seen so far. So I'm a little confused about it, but I mean, realistically, has some good potential to box in to the Shibalanke if it's needed. Has that CC immunity, so you can, if needed, use your ultimate for like an Athena taunt or like any kind of like get out of jail free card. Also pretty decent actually into this rat if that's what they choose. Just very good and easy to get away from things. I would very much expect that Charybdis and Agni stay a little bit closer to each other this game. It just seems like the kind of backline playstyle that they want to be going for. Kind of playing a bit more back this game. So that's definitely an interesting dynamic shift, to say the least. But Charon, oh boy.
You know, we talked about characters that can get in there. And Charon is absolutely one of them. He will be rowing it down the entire lane and just silencing and shielding and waving and all that fun stuff. He not only is Charon fun to play, just he does so much, just absolutely bringing so much value to a team. I really like this pick, and I really think that it fits the casual one's row it down play style.
Absolutely, it's totally his playstyle. The only thing I'm worried about really is that, like, in terms of like peel, you don't have much of it, honestly. Like, yes, Charon provides a shield. Like, yes, that's pretty decent. He has like the, you know, like the quick little silence. He's able to like stun people with his boat for a minute, like, or root people with the boat. But like, realistically, he kind of plays almost like a solo support, but you kind of can't clear enough with him in solo, so you play him in support. And like, I've seen him in mid lately even, so like it's hard. He's definitely not like the ideal kind of support kit. So it will be very interesting, but I think you're right, it totally goes for this kind of style where you want to get in here, you want to do damage. I mean, it fits pretty decent with the Odin in terms of you're gonna have big AoE abilities with an Odin cage, and what else are they gonna be able to do? I also want to talk about that they knew there was an Odin, they really just said, I don't care, we don't need leaps. That's,
you know,
that's for lamos. Like, okay.
Eldritch Dagger is pretty good, so I mean, you grab the Eldritch Dagger, you grab your Phantom Shell, and you've got your shell up pretty often. So, you know, I can see just wanting to rely on that shell, but you're really gonna have to make sure that you are hitting the whole team, or if not, just getting out, because you don't want to be trapped in the Odin cage against this AG team. And, you know, I do want to kind of circle back on that. You know, you talked about them not having enough peel, and I feel like it kind of puts the onus on AG's backliners. I mean, Charybdis also, you know, incredibly safe, just able to whirlpool and ultimate and BCC immune and be fast and take no damage. Agni has pretty decent self peel, able to bomb his feet and whatnot, proc that stun. So I think, you know, casual is just like, all right, backline, get good scrubs, play safe, or, you know, I'm not peeling for you. It's just that kind of comp. We'll see how that goes for them, though, as we get into our final game of the night in the Animosity Amateur Smite League, as we hop here into game number 3. Andvari's Greed versus KC Avengers.
I mean, it looks like realistically, we do have Telshore is going a different build on Morgan Le Fay. You know, I was really hyping up this build, by the way, so I'm like officially disappointed. Yeah, what is this? Why?
You know,
we're getting all serious now? I'm depressed, honestly.
Soul highlighted it. My eyes went right to, all right, where's the mid? Did they buy Golden Shard? I was really curious to see if they did. No, unfortunately, it will be the Horn cooldown shard. So, you know, not all good things can last. But, yeah,
why?
that is a good question.
This man actively refuses to, like, you know, do Aegis or, like,
he also has an earring.
And an earring. What? No, stop. Stop.
He will not be hitting very hard, but he has, mana. He has mana.
Lots of mana.
That is a thing.
Yeah. I mean, I'm definitely confused because I feel like there's so much potential they can win lane here, and now they just don't. Because, like, look at, yeah, he's hitting the wave, but it's taking literal ages. Yeah, like,
yeah,
you can get the Athena taunt off, but now you're just, like, taking a bunch of damage, and oh, man. Yeah, definitely interesting, to say the least. Yeah, they're definitely losing the trade hard.
Look at this trade. As Andvari's Greed just doing so much damage compared to the KC Avengers duo lane. And we even can see... Oh, hold that thought. Gear Chief able to dash away. So much damage. But he will be able to get himself out. And as we see, Sniper Glenn is in the left jungle. I wonder if he'll decide to make his way over towards the duo lane. No, he will not. He'll just up after taking that neutral farm. But yeah, I expect that this is going to be a very commonality. We see Andvari's Greed's duo lane just pushing the KC Avengers underneath their tower. And, you know, I imagine that there's absolutely no way Mid or Troll actually upgrades the earring.
No.
But that just delays your stacking by so much. It's really brutal to go this start. I do not love this. I can say that for sure. I'm not one of the ADC greats, I'll admit that, but this is not what I had in mind.
There was 2 mana pots on the side. This man was convinced he was going to be burning through mana. And I'm also convinced that, that's scary.
We see Telshore's speeds being forced out by that beautiful wall and a good dash from Gear Chief to get away. But, yeah. I really do expect that this duo could be a focus point for Sniper Glenn. I mean, if you can keep Mid or Troll off getting any serious items, then I feel like, you know, that might be a genuine strategy. Keep him from stacking, keep him from doing anything meaningful. Stick him with that earring. That could be really powerful. As we see Gear Chief now bobbing and weaving, and it looks like the auto attack maybe will confirm that kill. Gear Chief will fall for the first blood, and this is the exact kind of stuff that I want to see. Andvari's Greed duo lane just taking that purple buff. They will have lane pressure for quite a while, and they really need to capitalize off that, because
King Reese also struggling over on that side now, so at least the pressure's evened.
Yeah, King Reese, not known for his early game. He's a team fighter. The Allfather's mixing it up in team fights, but in the laning phase, not so much.
Sure. Yeah. It does not help in a way that now Telshore was able to get first blood, has kind of been rotating pretty decently, is again going into that first item. That's to be expected, at least. That I'm not surprised about. Again, I feel like I need to try this build. I'm like hyping it up now because like I'm genuinely interested in it, but because apparently it's just doing an absolute lot of damage right now. King Reese kind of, this is kind of an interesting matchup too, because not only is King Reese an Odin, so that means your early game is hot garbage in lane, but also just the sole fact that yeah, Yurgit's an Achilles, and I mean yeah, shield doesn't work. Oh, that doesn't matter though. Missed.
And just like that, Sniper Glenn is going to be able to pick up that kill, and King Reese will take over to 5. So that's going to be absolutely huge for him. Is now he's got some time to breathe against his lane opponent. And as we look again back to the duo lane, Andvari's Greed are getting ganked by this Ratatusker, the casual one. Gonna have to run, and the Athena ult is coming in, but unfortunately won't be able to follow the rat up into the sky. He'll come back down on Casual. Casual is so low. Midder Troll will be able to pick up that kill, and just like that, Cookie named Joe now under some duress. He should fall here as well, and that should be a clean 2 kills in the name of the KC Avengers. Good little gank coming out from It's Oh So Divine.
And getting all over the map now, really did want to pick that rat to like match the global pressure that Sniper Glenn was able to have in that early game, and has been kind of all over the map. We saw that solo lane has been absolutely really annoying for King Reese up until this last couple minutes, where you know the unfortunate miss. But wait,
and just like that, Telshore is going to get absolutely caught out, just completely wrecked by Sniper Glenn. You know, they've had such a total 180 from game number 1 in that Thor gameplay. I guess they just needed a warm-up, you know. We did say that their passive is to kind of int game 1, so understandable. But, yeah. And here we see Midder Troll caught! Will they get caught in the wave? Yes, they will! Casual One will be able to pick that up for themselves and get the kill on to Mid or Troll.
I'm under the assumption here that they did not know that there was a Charon coming, or maybe just didn't assume Charon would be doing that much damage. I'm not too sure, but yeah, Charon hurts, for everyone that's not aware. Really appreciate that character. Played him in Arena the other day and did like 50k, and I'm like not even kidding, I built full tank. It's disgusting. I don't understand that character. So I mean, kind of nice for Joe. Was kind of having a really like good early game, and then the last game kind of made it a little more difficult. So I mean, now it is pretty nice. It did go into Griffin wings, by the way.
I completely forgot that this item existed. I forgot this was from the earring tree. I thought this was just the tier 1 earring for mana problems. You know, obviously X-Ball a little bit known for that with the branching bowl is consuming a lot of mana. I forgot that Griffin Wing existed. That's on me. But yeah, just goes to show how often it's built. As we see Gear Chief now just disengaging, getting himself to safety of his tier 1 tower in mid.
Yeah, but like it totally makes sense though, because like yeah, when on earth do we ever see Griffin wings being built? Absolutely never, and it's usually for good reason. Like it provides you less damage. Yes, you can auto more often, but then like we can even see here,
Midder Troll almost able to pick up that
at
2 levels down. It's so divine. We'll be able to pick that up though. No sweat there, as Cookie named Joe will fall for the 2nd time this game. And I'm really liking It's Oh So Divine and their impact they've had on this rat. Just utilizing that ult, getting to, and putting Joe into some hard to escape places with that semi-global pressure, and just kind of running it down. I really like what this rat has had to offer so far. Some really good stuff coming out of Divine.
I think that's what makes this super interesting, is because when we're really looking at this kind of matchup, Rat has the potential to solo Charybdis basically on cooldown. Rat being a somewhat tanky kind of character, often is able to really just solo squishies and be able to take quite a bit of damage. So really just like blinking on to Joe should realistically get the whirlpool reaction out of him, and then all you have to do is just chase with the tree. So it's kind of a perfect storm in a way, and the same kind of goes for Gear Chief in a way. I mean, I really like this rat pickup. I think that was a really smart kind of like pocket pickup that they've been doing. He's been executing it fantastic so far. Is going into that standard build, not going any kind of defense, but I mean, that means he's going to absolutely hurt.
Yeah, as now we see Nate getting a little poked out in the mid lane, but he is a tanky Athena, got his green buff, not too worried about that. And, you know, we're kind of seeing the story of the solo lane so far. Bobago just able to poke out King Reese. You know, we said it
The
before.
most spectator. That was the most spectator thing I've ever seen. Yeah, and like what a unfortunate matchup really for King Reese, because yes, he is 100% playing for this team fight going into the mid late game, because again, that's literally what Odin does. But I mean, picking Achilles here also just a really great idea, because again, I mean, clearly it didn't work out that first time, but the whole point here is that you can execute through shields. So Odin's entire survivability is usually based off his shield, because it can get pretty beefy in the late game, even in the mid game, where you really can't get boxed anymore, even if you can't solo the other soul laner. And this might be the one chance that Bobago just truly won't be able to care about that.
Yeah, I really do like the way that this KC Avengers team has drafted. As we see now, Cookie named Joe struggling a bit in the boxing match, but he's able to turn that damage around with the whirlpool. And mid or troll turns off the lights and will be able to pick up the solo kill on mid, or pardon me, Cookie named Joe, being a level down and still getting the kill. Really impressive showing from mid or troll. As now we see
Griffin Wings OP.
I'm
convinced
you
now,
know, you heard it here. You heard it here
Aw.
first, folks. And again,
No
mid
respect
or
to the
troll
lesbian one.
being under siege by Mr. Casual, and I think he'll be able to get out. Yeah, no ult
Doesn't have the
available for the
ultimate.
Casual, so unfortunately for him, mid or troll should live to see another day. Speaking of not living to see another day, Gear Chief annihilated in the mid lane, and now the Casual one is trying to secure this purple buff. He will not be able to, and will not be able to have the damage to finish off the rest of Charybdis' health bar. So,
It just makes that his rotation completely irrelevant at that point, because not only is he unable to secure any buff, he didn't get any kill out of it, he wasn't able to get any farm, he left all the farm for Joe when he came back, which is noble as a support, but he gets absolutely nothing out of that. And not only is that, his mid laner completely dies to this Athena, because he had no beads when he died, so what I'm assuming is just the classic taunt. Oh. Ooh.
Yeah, I feel like Oh So Divine, if they would have hopped from the second branch, might have been able to catch the Thorol if they wanted to do that. But, as we saw, just hopping to some safety towards the mid lane, as Sniper Glen also retreated towards their jungle. So, both junglers using their semi-global ultimates to retreat, as we see a big Athena taunt. But Gear Chief lands that stun, and wave coming in from the Casual one. Cookie named Joe going to be pumping those autos out, and it looks like Andvari's Greed will be able to secure that first Stygian beacon for themselves. And I'm kind of surprised based off how things went in game 1 and 2. The KC Avengers haven't really tried to pull a Gold Fury or anything yet. They were really on point with those in game number 1 and 2. I'm surprised they haven't done it in game 3.
Well, it makes it kind of difficult here, because realistically, Gear Chief is in a completely different spot than, say, the last previous games. I mean, before we had a Vulcan, so you have know, you are aware that you were able to out secure in that case. And before, as Morgan Le Fay, Telshore got so ahead it really didn't matter. But also, I mean, you're against a Raijin, and Raijin also really just can't secure objectives that well. Morgan Le Fay can at least provide the wait. Oh, the 1v1.
Mid or troll will back away, but Cookie Named Joe
Oh, come on,
again
respect the
being
1v1.
ganked by It's Oh So Divine, and this has just been the calling card, you know? Divine just making his way over to the duel lane every single time that Joe and Mid box it out, and just like that, Joe, though, on the Charybdis, you know, we kind of meme about the Charybdis, but is showing why that safety is so valuable. Just able to get away and not have to fear this gank from the Rat, even though he was in a bad spot.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised he didn't just immediately go into the ult and just walk away. Instead, he uses, or I guess, did he use beats there? I think he did, right? So, I mean, in that case, there is more of potential to have an immediate regank, and we see that Athena coming over into this lane. Ooh,
Sniper Glenn
coming out
barely
Sniper.
able to get off the Anvil of Dawn and escape back to that tier 1 tower. King Reese now, though, feeling the brunt of this damage. The entirety of the KC Avengers just collapsing onto poor King Reese. Just absolutely. There's the wave from Casual trying to help out. But, you know, as I said before, KC Avengers have done such a good job of being on top of these objectives, and right now we see them returning to form.
See, and we know that this is such a good play, and I always appreciate their objective play this whole time, because what we saw there is, yes, I mentioned before that Gear Chief has much potential to steal and out-secure this Morgan Le Fay, but he wasn't there, and I mean, I can tell that the communication between this Morgan Le Fay and this Ratatasker is there, because they had no qualms against going for that Pyromancer, and they knew they were going to not have to worry about secure.
Absolutely. But here, Andvari's Greed now taking the bigger objective, the Gold Fury, for themselves, and it's about half HP, and the only person available right now is their Athena. But Telshore is there, and Andvari's Greed are able to secure that.
Wow!
Sniper Glenn gets deleted. Absolutely one shot by Telshore. Obviously, some other damage tickling in there, but God, that was a lot of damage.
That looked fun and interactive, truly.
Yeah, you can tell by the lack of interaction from Sniper Glenn.
Yeah, lot out counterplay there. Did he have beads? If he had beads, he gets no sympathy out of me. But
yeah, beads and Aegis were up.
Okay, so yeah, I mean, could have used that. It is what it is. But I mean, it in the end, I mean, the end result is still pretty similar to be the same. Gear Chief might be in quite a bit of trouble. Does have to use the relics. Oh
it's
no!
Still going to be taken out, man. It's also Divine is really having a game on this Ratatusker. I'm really enjoying this. They've got themselves a 4-level lead. You know, we were singing the praise of Sniper Glenn, but unfortunately they have fallen quite a bit behind.
That's
as Divine
sometimes
just
what
doing so
Ratatasker
much.
does. Has had some pretty decent ganks, especially has pretty much made an impact in every single lane that I've noticed. Has consistently put a Cookie Named Joe down. I mean, is still top of the damage charts. May I just add 03. Gotta love to see that. It's still getting in there as the ADC. But like is a little bit down. Nothing absolutely crazy, nothing to scoff at. But yeah, definitely not like, you know, has made some point of an impact over on to Mid-Troll's lane. I mean, we just saw the gank over into Gear Chief. That's happened several times now. The man is 0-3. He has not been allowed to play this game. It was even like, what, 2 minutes in where he got blink and almost got one shot. It's been his whole game. And he also, I remember, made an impact on King Reese. Has been just putting on kind of like a Ratatasker clinic on where you want to go with these global ultimates.
And now, as we see Gear Chief being collapsed on, he will be able to make it away. But now we see King Reese jumps in, but is not able to cage anyone. Decides to save that for another day. And Now on the
Oh.
re-engage
Oh.
is KC Avengers. Big Agni Bombs raining down. Oso Divine is up in the tree
Oh.
of Yggdrasil and will knock down, but eats an Anvil of Dawn, and King Reese returns the kill, picking up Oso Divine. But
Oh.
the Achilles execute coming up absolutely huge. Bobago probably not going to be
no.
killed in return, and the casual one now will fall to mid or troll. And Avari's Greed trying to stand their ground, but they need to fall back here.
And this is exactly what I was mentioning going into the set, really, and why Athena has been banned this entire game. Because, yes, I mean, hasn't made any crazy flashy plays, but what has she been doing this entire game? Just been a complete menace in the fact that it's forcing their team to group up. It's so easy for follow-up for the Morgan Le Fay, even though it's not the classic follow-up we think. I mean, it gets all the beads for this Ratatasker to completely shine. And I mean, gets them low enough at that point where Bobago has just literally been allowed to run into the backline. Now has 2 bombs on him at the moment. He can take down whatever tower he wants at this point.
Yeah, and I mean, just the whole KC Avengers team just kind of seems to be firing on all cylinders here. The only one with any sort of level disadvantage is Nate, but it's support. It's okay to be a level or so down as long as your carries are getting ahead. And I mean, we take a look at Telshore 3 levels up. We take a look at Divine 3 levels up. They are having a great time. So, you know, you're fine with your support being a level down if you have 6th level lead elsewhere in the game.
Absolutely. Yeah, has been pretty selfless in that way. And again, just here really to be annoying and to be allow any kind of relics to never exist, honestly, on the carries. I mean, thankfully there wasn't enough follow-up in that case, but Cookie Named Joe, again, has no bees, has no Aegis. I'm not surprised, honestly. Kind of has been that way this entire game so far. I mean, because what are you supposed to do when you have no relics? I mean, I guess your Charybdis, you can use your ultimate ability, but it never feels great, especially if you're gonna just get pounded by Morgan Le Fay damage anyway.
And I do think it is worth noting, Andvari's Greed only about 2k down, as we now see both teams staggering around this Gold Fury of the Oni variety. Andvari's Greed will be able to pick that up, and Nate of the Faces gets absolutely deleted. Big wall wave coming out from Casual, as we now see the Maw comes out, but Sniper Glide will fall. Will they be able to get this return kill onto Telshore? Yes, they will. Achilles' ultimate is used and executes. And again, no, but Mid Orchard will be able to pick that one. 3 for 2 in favor of the KC Avengers, but Andvari's Greed will be able to pick up the objective. I feel like that has to favor Andvari's Greed, as we now see them only about 1,000 gold behind.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, yeah, they lost some people. But again, like, you were able to also just shut down this Morgan Le Fay. Had been an absolute menace up until this point. It was their first death of this game. Also went on to their ADC. You always appreciate it on the ADC, because it's really keeping Joe in this game while he ended up dying. And realistically, it gives a lot of time as well for Gear Chief to be able to catch up. Was 3 levels down going into this fight, almost 4. So has a lot of potential now just to be able to farm without any major distractions, because Athena's not going to go in without this Morgan Le Fay and without the knowledge that there's going to be some follow-up. So, I mean, definitely a great way to stalemate this game for a little bit. I think it's fantastic that they're still wanting to go for this proactive response, and yeah, you can tell their mental's not shattered. Their passive has kicked in.
Yeah, and I mean, this is the closest any of these games have been at this time in the game. At around 23 minutes, we have not had a close game, either game 1 or 2. So it's nice to see that these teams are keeping things close. And it's kind of wild because you look at it, you think, oh, KC Avengers being 9k up, and you know, we've praised their macro game, but Andvari's Greed just getting to these objectives. They are playing the Avengers game, and they are doing it well, and that's what's keeping them into these games. And you know, now you kind of see as well a few players on Andvari's Greed approaching level 20. Joe already at 20, so you can only hit 21. So once you get those starters and whatnot upgraded, you're not feeling as bad.
No, definitely not nearly as much. And again, you're right. That's where Athena starts to fall off when you're able to have those relics consistently up. When the Defender of Olympus, yes, it can be a great tool for providing movement speed and mitigation, but at the same time, it's really mainly used for rotations. And when you're team fighting, clearly that's not going to be as effective as, say, a Charon ult, where it's going to hit at least 1 to 2 people.
As we see now, Gear Chief forced to dash away. Luckily for him, did not have to expend either of his relics. Those save myself buttons will be able to be used another day. But for now, it looks like Andvari's Greed are a little bit scattered as the casual one now getting collapsed on. Wave will be coming out used, but not a lot able to be followed up on as he just kind of runs back now to hit the safety of his tier 1 tower, which I imagine the KC Avengers will be taking very shortly. The Odin Cage is used, but the Phantom Shell in response will ensure that everything's okay. And now Achilles is loose in the back line. Execute is available if he does decide to do so, and just like that, unfortunately he will make it. And it's so Divine will be able to get that kill. And just like that, Andvari's Greed forced to retreat now. 4v3, low health bars on the entire team. Troll jumping in, but will not be able to find enough damage to finish things off.
Definitely a little closer than I was expecting. I really, after Gear Chief died, was not expecting for Joe to live as long as he did, but has those Jeep shoes on apparently. He did end up falling finally, but I mean, they're definitely low. They're definitely not really able to go for Fire Giant at this point, especially knowing that 3 members are still up of Andvari's Greed. So, I mean, pretty even-ish trade overall. Again, only a 2k deficit coming out of their side, so really not too big of a deal. I am sorry, I have to keep pointing it out. My man Sheev is actually allergic to Aegis. We now have a shell. Like, I'm inspired, if I'm being honest. I hate that relic too, but like, it's so good, honestly. Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of weird on both sides for these engagements because I feel like a lot of the KC Avengers have been able to get some like really nice picks going into the early fights, but they're just overextending so much that it's causing them to end up losing a couple of their own members. So they're at this point and they're kind of at a standstill where they can do some things, but they can't do enough to actually push the limits and be able to take an objective. I would really like to see someone just start up and bait a Fire Giant. I feel like we haven't really even seen that this entire set now that I'm really thinking about it. Because I feel like, yeah, why not? They have a little bit of a lead. They might as well at least attempt to try and push it and get someone out of position. Joe has no relics for a little bit. I mean, Gear Chief is about to have them back up. So even just baiting some relics coming out of people would be really good on the side of KC Avengers.
Yeah, honestly, AG had the positional advantage. I really would have liked them to have tried to push for the EFG, or pardon me, the normal Fire Giant. But again, I can understand this is game 3, not wanting to throw it all away at this point, as we see that taunt just a little bit off the mark, and now it looks like these teams are just going to, position jockey for the right spots. But yeah, as the casual one now forced to back up, it looks like no one's really willing to engage quite yet. Nate of the Faces will dash in, but Cookie named Joe just hops into the whirlpool, chill as a pill. Nothing wrong there.
It looks like casual one is kind of getting a little bit ran out. We'll use the sticks and wait. Lots of damage.
Gear Chief now getting absolutely ran at. The backline of Andvari's Greed is totally separated from their front line, but Gear Chief is going to do huge damage. The execute coming out from Achilles won't be able to find the result that they were looking for, but King Reese will fall in the exchange. So 1 for 1, jungle for solo, and you look at it though,
Can
Andvari's
they do
greed.
anything? I
Yeah,
don't think so.
this is tough. The casual one though
Oh, now
caught
they
out.
can.
This could be huge. Bo, as Bobego just gets annihilated by Cookie Named Joe, and now Telshore also so low, but from that Agni Bomb, we're just seeing how much damage Gear Chief is doing now that he's hit full build. And he hasn't even upgraded his starter yet. Once he upgrades his starter, he's going to be absolutely swinging. Gear Chief is leading the charge. Him and Cookie Named Joe are just running down mid or troll. They really want to get this X-Ball and the Morgan Le Fay.
They have a plan. Unfortunately, they aren't able to actually succeed with it, but can at least, get some kind of win here. Is able to grab the fire giant. Someone please grab the fire giant bomb. No? Okay.
Oh, okay,
That's fine. This is fine. We don't need one. That's fine. This is fine.
It looks like Joe's going back to grab
There
it.
we go. Got guys.
So someone
Can
noticed.
someone
But,
get the bomb? No? Okay, I'll go get it.
yeah, that probably sounds exactly what Joe was calming in that moment.
Yep, for sure. 100%. Yeah, I mean, isn't able, but at least able to get some kind of objective here. And I mean, whatever they can do to push more to this late game, because I think you're right. They do have really just like a better late game comp overall. It's less pick oriented. It's more team fight, big abilities. One thing I'd really like to see is an aggressive Odin cage. I also think I haven't seen any of that. I'd love to test some of the damage and kind of just test almost the reaction time coming out of KC Avengers. Because every single one so far has had to kind of be defensive, so I'm wondering how much of the game plan that would change, but it might be not great for Gear Chief. We might not get that opportunity. Wow!
Man or troll just absolutely chunking down Gear Chief, forcing him to back for the TKO. And yeah, if you're Andvari's Greed, there's no way you can do this now as Fire Giant just became enhanced. There's no way that you can try and 50-50 that without gear. You want your Agni there to make sure that he has the bombs for the secure. And just like that, again, we're dancing around the Fire Giant. Last time we saw these teams kind of stalemate, and I'm curious to see if it'll be similar this time, or one team will get the upper hand.
Again, I would love to see just like more engagement coming out of Andvari's Greed. I feel like they've been playing very reactive. I'd like to see them be, because this has been their entire game plan, right? And in some ways, I feel like they're just kind of allowing it to happen. Like, you're standing in the jungle, you know an Athena's going to be here ready to go for you. Like, we can see her charged up with her abilities, literally staring at you menacingly. So, I honestly, at this point, what apparently is not working is being reactive to it, having to use beads, having to use abilities. We're gonna have to see again. Damage is coming in.
Yeah, Bobego here is getting a little bit poked.
Oh!
But Telshore is caught in the cage. Athena is ulting in, but will she be in time? The shell comes in and huge alternate timeline is popped.
I hate alternate
The Anvil of
timeline, man.
Dawn was not enough, unfortunately. And Gear's alternate timeline now will be popped as well. Mid or Troll taking a huge amount of damage, but Bobego comes up huge, gets the double kill.
No.
And the triple kill for Telshore. That is a DSI. That is the game as KC Avengers now take the set, and that will be game number 3. And the KC Avengers win their first set in their first week playing in Animosity.
I mean, relatively clean coming out of them. I mean, I feel like even in game 2, they made quite a couple of mistakes, a lot of minor mistakes, but a lot of things that are easily able to be worked on, and honestly, just a couple positioning things. But it looks like they're really coming together. They're really doing what they need to do, and honestly, I desperately need Telshore off of this Morgan Le Fay, because apparently she just can't die. Because alternate timeline with that character is officially OP. I'm calling it right now because that's not fair. Has so much self peel after it procs, so I mean, I guess it really makes sense that would be good on that character. But yeah, unfortunate for Andvari's Greed here. I just feel like their team comp just wasn't able to really find what they were looking for going into this late game. I felt like they were always on the back foot. We didn't really get a whole lot of like actual engagement, and that's kind of what they were missing in some ways by having a Charon in a lot of ways. Because like yeah, you can technically start with the wave, but it's very telegraphed that way. You can start with an Odin cage, but again, I guess we saw how that worked out. So I don't know. Unfortunate to say the least. We'll have to see going into next week how they can pick that up.
Yeah, I mean, I think you kind of touched on it perfectly. I mean, I would have loved to see just King Reese blink Cajun followed up by an Anvil of Dawn or a Wave or just a bunch of Agni bombs. Just burn all of the relics, burn all of the utility from the other team, and just kind of force them to play on the back foot. Reset, get all your cooldowns, and then you know what see how they play on the back foot, because as you said, Andvari's Greed were just on the back foot for most of those team fights, so not really much they could do.
Yeah, absolutely. Unfortunate to say the least, but it does happen. I mean, shout out to our new team in the Jotunheim division. I mean, first week, first win. Gotta love seeing that.
Yeah, most definitely. But we're gonna get out of here. Thank you guys so much for tuning in and watching the Amateur Animosity Smite League. This has been our Jotunheim division. Great games from all the players. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to peel the carriers. Have a wonderful night.